I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is.
All right, y'all know what to do. It's Wednesday in the building. Shout out to everyone who's in here. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Ow, and we're looking all crispy and clean on the screen this morning. This Wednesday morning. Hopefully y'all are doing well. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of The Morning Show. I'm your host, Classy Beats, classybeats.com, patreon.com/classybeats. By the way, make sure y'all check out the link in the description. And we are going to go ahead and get right into our trial coverage today. We're going to get back into the Jason Levesque trial, aka the snowplow shooting trial. We were hearing from his daughter yesterday, and today we're going to finish the rest of her testimony. She's actually going to get into and talk about what happened when Kyle, their neighbor, came over into the yard, and then we all know what went down there. But before I get into it, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. Good morning to everybody in here. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building. A Fitz is up in here. Anton Bishop. We got Les Cleaver, my guy Valencia, and Libby22 SC girl. Good to see y'all in the building. Hopefully all of you are doing well and having a great Wednesday. We're gonna go ahead and get right into the coverage. If y'all could, please make sure that you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the channel to grow, but it does let the YouTube algorithm and whatever algorithm you're watching on, to be honest, it lets them know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel out with more people. So if y'all could take a second and do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it as well. If y'all see, we got the 100K plaque hanging up back there. We finally got it set up. I took some time this morning and got that taken care of. So it's back there looking nice, man. Look at them. Thank y'all again for the love and support for getting us to 100K. You know, we're not taking any days off, and we're going to keep pushing. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the coverage here from day 3. And then over the past couple of days in this trial, there hasn't been really much going on. They've had some motions they had to go back and forth on between the prosecutor and the defense. They had some conversations with the judge. So there really wasn't much going on day 4 and going into day 5. So we've got a little bit we're going to get into from day 5 today. Hopefully we'll see how quickly this testimony moves. But again, for those of you who are just joining in on this story, what happened was this gentleman you see on the screen, his name is Jason Levesque. He was in his snowplowing his yard. really quick. And then his daughter apparently was in the car with him. We're going to hear her testimony here shortly. He was snow plowing the yard. His neighbor next door, Kyle, got mad. He got upset. He thought Jason was going to push some snow into his yard. Kyle comes over. He goes toe to toe, face to face, nose to nose with Jason Levesque. And he says to Jason Levesque, if you push snow into my yard, and your daughter, allegedly, he said this. We don't know for sure because we don't have the audio from it. And Jason says, oh, really? That's how you feel, huh? Kyle said, yeah, do something about it. Kyle starts to walk off. Jason goes into the car. He pulls out the you-know-what, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots into the back of Kyle. Kyle's laying on the ground. Kyle's girlfriend, I was going to say wife, Kyle's girlfriend and daughter run out because they saw what happened. Thankfully, a good Samaritan came out there to help. Paramedics come in. Kyle survives amazingly. Jason, he goes to the police. He tells them what happened. And now he's been locked up since April. And we're here getting ready to hear the testimony from Jason's daughter on what she saw and what she heard that day everything went down. So a little bit of a refresher. Let's go ahead and see what she has to say. And she's got her emotional support bunny up there with her too. I know y'all were distracted by the emotional support bunny yesterday. Here we go.
Great, thank you. Here, I don't want to make too much of this, but I was asking you questions about whether there had been some prior exchanges between your dad and Kyle about snow moving this way and that way, correct? And you were asked about that during your interview with police on the night of the 4th and the 5th.
Yes.
You had said that you don't actually have a memory of those issues now, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
But at the time when you went into the police department, you were aware that it was a really important conversation with the detectives, correct?
Yes.
You knew it was, had to be a complete, honest account, a statement, correct?
Yeah.
And you did that.
Yes.
And at the time when you made that statement a year ago, you did have certain memories that you just don't have now.
Correct.
And so I had asked you, did the investigators ask about the snow going back and forth? And you said you couldn't remember.
Correct.
All right. Judge may approach. And I think we've already briefly talked about that back last year, you remembered from the previous winter that Kyle had placed snow on your property, either on the porch. Do you know whether it had anything to do with a maple tree that your dad planted?
I don't remember.
Okay. But that in your statement that was complete and honest and accurate last year, you referenced that Kyle had snowblowed some snow onto your property, correct?
Yes.
And that your dad asked him not to do that.
Yes.
Right? You went on to say another event that you remembered, and then
So Kyle was the first one to start all this.
My dad one day, a couple of months ago, probably our first snowstorm, that he was pushing snow onto his property. As your dad was, during the first snowstorm, pushing snow onto Kyle's property, correct?
Okay.
And that you described your dad. You said, my dad was just kind of let it go. Because again, it's petty, it's snow. It's going to melt, it's going to go away, correct?
Yes.
And so that was the first snowstorm. And now, are you aware of, even after the first storm, of whether that conflict continued in any way between Kyle and your dad during any subsequent snowstorms?
I'm not.
Then let's talk about the snowstorm on the 4th and the 5th.
Okay.
You described to us, before I asked you about the background, your dad pushing snow past 41 and then towards 43. Can you describe to us what happened after he made those passes on the front edge of the street?
So we had come, like we were plowing towards our house and towards, if you're looking at my house, it's on the right, so not 43, but the one before us. We were plowing the snow towards our fence, towards our yard, and then he flipped around and we started to clear the end, just pushing it towards like before our front steps. And we just kept doing that for a little while. We were clearing the end of our driveway, and then he had stopped plowing.
Okay. Do you remember what was going through your mind when he stopped and pulled up in front of your house, stopped the vehicle?
I just assumed he was done plowing, and I started to get out. And as I looked up and opened my door, I noticed there was someone who was Kyle standing in front of the plow.
Okay. So that's the moment that you notice Kyle is when you're actually getting out of the truck.
Yes.
And then can you tell us anything that you heard as Kyle was standing near the plow in front of your truck?
I noticed that he was angry and rocking back and forth a little bit, and I was looking towards my bedroom because my friend was upstairs and I didn't know if she was looking out at me or anything. And then I heard him, I didn't hear anything, and then I heard Kyle tell my dad that if he kept pushing snow towards his house, he was going to kill him and his family.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, this is it, man. Hey, free Jason. All right, it's time. Free Jason. We've got not only Jason saying this, but also his daughter saying this too. Yeah, Kyle, man. Come on, Kyle. What were you thinking? Do y'all believe her?
I just heard you say that. You heard Kyle say to your dad, if you keep pushing snow onto my property, I'm going to kill you and your family.
Yes.
Jeez.
Is it true that your, beyond that, your ability to hear things was somewhat compromised? Not perfect,
Yes.
is where you were. But that's something you did hear.
Yes.
Oh, she heard it. Come on, Kyle. You messed with the wrong one.
Remember the detective asking you, kind of besides what he said about what he did he do anything that was threatening in your view of what you observed sitting in the vehicle?
He asked me what he looked like what his actions were.
Do you remember what your answer was when he actually asked you if you saw anything threatening?
I believe that I told him that I didn't see anything threatening, but he seemed angry. He seemed like he was gonna throw a punch, but I don't recall saying anything other than that.
Okay. I guess I want to be somewhat careful about, this description and your answer to whether you actually observed some physical act that was threatening from Kyle. Your Honor, may I approach? And in this instance, I'm going to ask whether this, in fact, helps your memory. Counsel, this is 13, line 4 through 7. Thank you.
Crazy.
Do you need me to hold this?
No, you're good.
I can hold the button.
Huh?
I can hold the button.
I'm surprised that bunny is so calm.
Yep.
Yep.
So those details kind of help.
Yes.
That your response to whether he did anything threatening was that, well, he rocked back and forth a little bit. Is that right?
Yes.
He said, I don't know if he would have thrown a punch or something. Correct?
Correct.
Now, we've seen video, but just confirm, he didn't throw a punch, right?
No.
And when you heard him make that threat, he was right up there next to the vehicle next to your dad.
Yes.
When he was up there close next to your dad, did you see him produce anything sharp, like a weapon?
No.
Anything
Wow.
like a knife or a screwdriver or anything like that?
No.
Did you see, or did you hear him make a statement that he had something, a weapon on him, and that he would use it?
No.
Yo, I'm a prosecutor. Come on, man. What the hell? You can't walk in somebody's yard and say you're going to kill them. Let's stop. Stop it. You got Jason said it happened. Now you've got Kira said it happened. This case, this trial's over in my opinion. Now, the only caveat I had is, was Jason legally allowed to have the gun? We're going to get into that later. Yeah, this is her emotional support bunny. I know y'all are asking about it. Come on, man. Dang.
And after Kyle was at the front of your dad's truck on the other side, what happened next?
When he was, I'm sorry, I'm confused.
So we've just talked about a period of time when Kyle was very close to your dad.
Yes.
And after those few moments, seconds, what happened? What did Kyle do?
So he had threatened us, And then my dad said something, I'm not sure what. I saw his lips moving. I don't know what was said. And next thing I knew, a shot was fired.
And so let me talk a little bit about that. You said that when Kyle was up next to the truck, you could hear Kyle, but your dad responded.
Yes.
Are you telling us you don't remember what he said?
No, I don't. I blocked it out.
You blocked it out?
I don't remember. My focus was that he had said that. My little cousin and my best friend were in my house. My safety was their concern. Their safety was my concern.
Totally get it. But best you can do is confirm that your dad responded in some way.
Yes.
Did you watch Kyle walk away back towards his house?
I did not. I was on my phone.
Yeah, you know what Jason said? Oh, you about to find out. You about to find out. You threaten my family, you come in my yard and say that ish? Nah, we're not doing that today.
But you did see where your dad and Jason were positioned when your dad took out a gun.
He was next to the truck.
And you saw where Kyle was when your dad took out a gun.
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury where Kyle was now?
He was in front of the plow. He was walking backwards, and it was obviously you have to go by my house. So in my mind, he was walking towards my house.
I'm sorry, when the gun came out?
I believe so, yes.
Do you remember what you told the detectives?
I do not.
Your Honor, may I approach? Perhaps this will help your memory. This is 15, begins at line 8. Good.
Okay.
Kyle messed up,
Set up
man.
your memory of it?
Not really.
Okay, so what, this is the same statement where at the time you did have the memory, correct?
Yes.
And at the time you knew it was important to be
Yes.
truthful. And so what you told the detective when he asked where the shooting took place, you said, you described it and actually drew a little map, but you said Kyle was running. And they asked, the neighbor was running? And you said, yes. They asked you, do you know why he was running? You answered, I'm assuming because my dad pulled out his gun. On the next page, you said, I would assume so. I mean, I would run too. Do you remember that?
I don't.
And do you remember telling the officers when the gun came out that Kyle was moving towards his house, not your house?
I do not.
Well, I just want to be fair about this. This is page 16, line 1.
Okay.
Does that confirm that when you were talking to detectives, you described the gun being out and that Kyle was moving away towards his own house?
What?
Does that confirm in your mind when you said, when the officers asked you, well, what direction was Kyle going in? Towards his own house.
Okay. Yes.
Is that truthful and accurate?
Yes.
All right, Mark, accept it, please. Yes. The diagram associated with
You can go in full.
the... Okay.
You can go in full.
Oh, all right. Page 26. I just referred to, during this conversation with detectives, that you had also done a drawing of where people were situated at the shooting.
Okay.
I'm showing you, for the record, what has been marked as stage 26. Appears to have your name and date at the top. Is this the drawing that you made?
Yes.
And can you show us or tell us what these symbols indicate? Here appear to be stars on the street out in front of your driveway.
Those are people.
And which people are these?
So that top one's Kyle. That's my dad and that's me.
And then at the time of the shooting, who's that?
I have no idea what that is.
Are you claiming that Kyle was shot directly in front of the Plow?
I don't really remember.
Okay. There happens to be a figure, appears to be a figure, just past the corner of the edge of your house. Are you claiming that's not Kyle?
I don't remember. I don't.
Nevertheless, you were clear with the officers at the time that when the gun came out, Kyle turned away. You characterized it as running towards his own home.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, somebody starts running back to their house after they threaten you. What would y'all think in that situation? Let me know. Because I think they're going over there to do something. If you've ever, again, I don't want to talk about street stuff. If you ever get in an argument with someone in certain places and they either say, oh, I'll be back, or all right, and they walk off, yo, you better get ready for it to go down. So if he said that and then he started to walk back towards the house, who knows why? I'm not gonna sit there and wait until he gets back. That's for sure.
I don't want to, kind of force an experience on you, but did you, so we know you saw him produce the firearm and you saw Kyle react. You describe it. Do you remember him being shot?
I didn't see it. I heard it.
The firearm that your dad had was one that you were familiar with, correct?
I knew of it. I wasn't.
Well, you had gone actually out to the firing range with him and described it as a Glock, right?
Yes.
And so you were familiar with it from literally going to a fire range with your dad?
Yes.
You told investigators that you were aware that your dad took the firearm anytime that he plowed at night?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I mean by familiar with
Okay, then yes.
firearm.
Was he allowed to have it though? That's what we all want to know.
After you heard the shooting, what did you see?
I saw my dad get back in the truck and we pulled back into the driveway and I was very anxious. He was anxious. He started to call, like he dialed 911 and before he could press the call button, they had already been there.
So he couldn't call fast enough? I mean, you say before he was even able to call, they were at the scene?
Yes.
So what was he talking about before he was trying to call 911?
He got back in the truck and he didn't really say anything. He looked at me, I looked at him, and we pulled in the driveway and then everybody showed up, the cops showed up. My dad got out of the truck with his hands up.
Do you remember the police asking about what was said inside the truck after your dad shot Kyle?
I don't remember what they asked me, but I remember they asked me questions.
What's that?
I remember them asking me questions.
Okay. Again, I want to be fair here. May I approach this witness? I'm going to show you page 9, up against line 18, and really goes down to the bottom of 25. Why don't you read this and tell me if it helps you remember?
Okay.
Does that help your memory or no?
I mean, I don't remember him saying that, but
Okay. This, again, is the same statement that you were being truthful, honest, and
Yes.
accurate. Your memory has just gone through a lot the last
Yes.
year. And so this indicates that the detective asked you, what was the conversation like when you got back in the truck with your dad? Or your dad got back in the truck, right?
yes.
And you described it then in some detail. You just saw that your response to that question was, he looked at me and he was like, what do I do? And you responded, what do you mean, what do you do? And his response to that, to clarify it, he said, he was like, well, do we run? And you responded to your dad, said, I'm like, no, we're staying put. He was like, yeah, you're probably right. You responded, I am right. Like, you don't run. Continue to ask you what he should do. And your response was, I don't know. I don't know. You sit here and you wait. He asked you whether he should call 911. You merely said, if you want. I don't know.
Nope.
Like, I literally don't know what to tell you right now. Like, I just got out of work. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't know. This is your path, you said to your dad. You remember that?
I don't.
Don't call
Yeah,
911.
This is the accurate, complete, and honest statement you provided that to me
Yes.
about the conversation you had in the cab of the truck with your dad.
Yes.
Judge, can I have just a minute?
Y'all let me know in the comments and in the chat. After you know somebody, God forbid that ever has to happen, are you gonna call 911 for them? I don't know. I probably would. But still, that's tough.
Thank you. Sure, thank you. Those were my questions. As you know, Mr. Sistia will likely have some follow-up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Afternoon. You doing all right?
Yeah.
How's the rabbit doing? Okay.
She's jumpy, but she's good.
Okay.
She had to put the rabbit up.
Prosecutor was saying that he wanted to be fair with you. Remember that? He said that a few times.
Yes.
Prior to today, was he fair enough to give you this transcript?
I can't see that far.
Judge, I object to the characterization of it implicitly being unfair.
You gotta rephrase the question, man. You can't ask that.
I never got this.
You never got this transcript?
I did not.
This transcript that the prosecutor's been using over the past 25 minutes?
No, I've never received that.
Did the police, after your statement, give you an opportunity to review your statements at all?
I don't remember, but I don't believe so.
And between the 4th of April and today, did you sit down and have a review with the prosecution on this transcript?
I did not.
So this transcript was being used for the first time that you saw it today.
Correct.
All right, we're going to go through it a little bit too, but I'm going to forget about the transcript for a second, okay?
Okay.
I want to talk about things you actually remember today, okay?
Okay.
The ones that you're under oath to testify truthfully.
Okay.
Let me ask you, and ask you as straight as I can. Do you remember Kyle saying that he was going to fucking kill your father and you?
Yes.
Do you
There it
remember
is.
that distinctly?
Yes.
Got the witness.
Now,
Dang.
when you heard that, how did that make you feel?
I was scared, obviously, because someone had just threatened me. But that had triggered my anxiety, so I kind of started to shut down and block everything out.
All right, but I want to make sure this jury knows that that's something that is crystal clear, correct?
Yes.
That is something that you surely told the police, right?
Yes.
And that is something that is ingrained in you that you can't even shake out, right?
Correct.
And it makes you nervous and anxious to this day, doesn't it?
Yes.
Is it fair to say you felt that you were threatened that night?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you believe that you could have been subjected to serious bodily injury that night
Yes.
or death?
Correct.
And is that what you were worried about while you were sitting in that truck right next to your father?
I was afraid he was going to hurt us, yes.
And that was the sense that you got, correct?
Correct.
And the sense that you got with regard to death or serious bodily injury was because of the behavior of Kyle, right?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to back off this for a second because I want the jury to understand your relationship with your dad, okay?
Okay.
And again, you know, I'm sorry, okay? I mean, we're in a courtroom. This is an important case. I'm going to go right to it. You love your dad, don't
Of course.
you? And he loves you.
Yes.
I mean, he's absolutely dedicated to you.
100% all the time.
And he's been your single parent guy for quite a while, hasn't he?
Yes.
And why don't you tell the jury how long?
Emotional support bunny is wild.
We've been on our own since I was in, I want to say, 8th or 9th grade.
Okay? And he's been taking care of you since then, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's the guy that looks out after you, and, takes you to school when you got to go to school, right?
Takes me everywhere. School, cheer practice, dance, competitions, everywhere.
Oh, he's a good dad.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to
that
Jason.
night, he made sure to go and pick you up. I mean, it was a crummy day. It was lousy out, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't let me drive.
He was worried about your safety that whole day.
Yes.
And when you got in the truck with him that night when he picked you up, he was doing okay, right? He wasn't angry or anything, was he?
No, I mean, he was tired from working, but he wasn't angry. He wasn't anything like that.
You guys were getting along just fine?
Yeah.
And when you started plowing, did you do a couple jobs with him before he went to your house?
I don't think so. I think we went right home.
Okay. And where were you working? Why don't you tell the jury?
I was working at a local pizza store in my hometown.
Okay. One of the local pizza places?
Yeah.
So he picks you up, and it's during that snowstorm, and you guys were going to go right home, right?
Yes.
And again, who was in the house that night? I know it was your dad and you that lived there, but who else was there?
My grandparents were downstairs, my little cousin was downstairs, and then my best friend was upstairs.
Your grandparents?
Yep.
And they care about you too.
Yes.
And Jason was taking care of them too, wasn't he?
Yes.
So he was taking care of you, he was taking care of your grandparents. How long had Jason lived in that house, do you know?
We've lived in that house since I was 2 or 3 years old.
All right, so he's been a regular fixture in that neighborhood for a couple decades, right?
Yes.
When you got in that truck that night, did you anticipate any trouble at all?
No.
It was just a regular night.
Yeah.
And when you were plowing in front of the house, was there anything weird about it? I mean, was it just the typical plowing thing that you were doing?
Yeah.
Now, the jury is seeing some videos of the whole, not the whole thing, but as much as we could capture on video, okay?
Okay.
Would it be fair to say that you didn't capture the whole thing either?
No, I did not.
Would it be fair to say that the things that stuck out to you were the fear that it created when Kyle confronted your father?
Yes.
And the fear that it created and has been continuous with regard to the threat on your life?
I'm sorry, one more time.
The fear of the threat on your life?
Yes.
And as far as your dad was concerned, he wasn't swearing or anything at Kyle, from what you recall.
I don't remember.
He wasn't aggressive toward Kyle, was he?
I don't believe so.
In fact, Kyle came up abruptly and without any notice, correct?
Correct.
I mean, he kind of surprised you too.
Yes.
And did you notice that your father just stood up and stood in one place and didn't even move for a while?
I wasn't paying attention at that time. I was starting to get out of the truck, and that's when I noticed him. And as soon as I got back in and shut my door, I noticed my father had stepped out.
Okay, so you got out of the truck and you were just going to go in the house or something?
Yes.
And then Kyle came?
So Dad parked, and I was getting ready to get out, and as I opened my door and looked up, I realized Kyle was right there, and I just got back in the truck and shut the door.
Okay, and why did you shut the door when Kyle?
Because he was right there, and I wasn't going to walk past him. I didn't know why he was over here. I didn't know what his intentions were.
All right, but then you got to hear his intentions, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he claimed that your father was plowing snow into his yard or something like that?
Correct.
But you were right in that truck, right?
Yes.
You guys weren't plowing snow into the yard.
We were not.
And Kyle's girlfriend, long-term girlfriend, admitted that Jason hadn't yet pushed any snow into the yard.
So did that make any sense at all to you?
No, there's a telephone pole in the way.
When you describe Kyle, would it be fair to say that he was enraged?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that he was acting really strange?
I mean, he was rocking back and forth, so I'd say he was angry.
You know, the prosecutor asked you whether or not
This is a great testimony.
Kyle had anything in his hands or anything, said he had anything. You didn't know if he had anything or not, do you?
His hands were in fists, so he had nothing in his hands. I don't know if there was anything in his pockets.
Right. You didn't know if there was anything in his pockets. Your father wouldn't have known either, right?
Correct.
But all you guys both knew is that you were being threatened.
Correct.
And you didn't even know why, right?
Correct.
It made no sense to you, correct?
No.
That somebody would be that enraged and that violent for no reason whatsoever, correct?
Correct.
And the reason you got back in the truck is because you were scared of Kyle.
Yes.
So
Wow.
this only took seconds. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And he came upon you unexpectedly, and he made a threat, and it didn't make any sense to you at all.
Correct.
Wow.
The detective in the case wanted to know whether or not Kyle was close enough to your dad where if he threw a punch he would hit your father. And was he close enough to your dad where if he threw a punch he would hit your father?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. But they were close up, right?
They were close, yes.
And you know what? I mean, what's weird is that the jury probably has a better view of how close he was to your dad than you did. Because they got to see the videos. Did you get to see any of those?
No.
Probably don't want to either.
Oh,
Now, after the shots were fired, okay, your dad drove the truck right into your driveway.
yes.
And would it be fair to say he made no effort whatsoever to try to avoid the police?
He didn't.
In fact, he drove into the driveway. You guys, I take it, you guys were in some kind of a confused, scared state at the time.
Yes.
There was some exchange at the time, you know, should we go, should we stay?
Yeah.
But that wasn't a big thing. Your father wasn't saying, well, I'm leaving anyhow or anything.
No.
It was just something right after the fact that something came out, right?
Yes.
And what he actually did is he parked the truck and he shut it off, right?
He parked it. I don't remember if he turned it off or not, but he parked it.
Yeah. Were you there when the police came?
I was.
So he was with the truck. He didn't move an inch from his property, correct?
Correct.
And he was about to dial, I'm sorry, he had dialed 911. He was about to engage it, correct?
Yes.
So he was taking that affirmative act at that time to contact emergency services, right?
Yes.
And he didn't
And
have
before
to.
that could even be completed, the police were there.
Yes.
And from what you saw of your dad, was he completely cooperative with the police?
Yes. As soon as he saw the blue lights, he got out with his hands up.
He had his hands right up,
Yes.
ready to go. And you were there to observe him. Did he resist or say anything stupid to him or anything?
He didn't say anything to him. He was just outside standing with his hands up.
Did you see them escort him into a cruiser or anything like that?
I did not.
Okay, I mean, you were trying to stay away from this whole thing.
There was an officer talking to me, just letting me know to gather my things, and they were going to put me in the back of a cruiser.
Because they were going to take you to the police station.
Yes.
So when we're talking about, you know, recollections and what's in this transcript, it's fair to say that you didn't get to review it at the time.
Correct.
You didn't get to review it over the past year.
Correct.
And you didn't get to review it, like, before you took the stand.
Correct.
And the only time you've been seeing this stack of papers is this afternoon.
Correct.
And in all honesty, you probably did forget some stuff, right?
I'm sorry, one more
You
time?
probably did forget some stuff.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah. But what's the one thing you remember about that night, the clearest, without any question at all?
I remember him threatening us. I remember that after my dad pulled in the driveway, he got out with his hands up and didn't resist, and I remember going to the station.
And your dad would do anything to protect you, wouldn't he?
Of course he would.
Did you
told
say
you
anything
that.
stupid to
I
them?
did.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gil.
Thank you, Judge. You know, on that last point, you know, you told the police that your dad would do anything to protect you, but you also told them you didn't think you should have shot him. Correct?
I don't recall.
Pardon me?
I don't recall.
Oh, she got little Woody is showing up. We got the spirit of Woody is here with us. She don't recall, y'all.
May I approach, Judge?
Yeah. Hey,
Point. 21-6-13. Can I ask you to read that? And they asked you, and you answered, do I think he should have shot him? No. Repeat it again. Do I think he should have shot him? No. Correct.
Correct.
And isn't that based on all the facts and circumstances you knew and saw, right?
Okay.
Correct?
What are you asking? I'm sorry.
You answered them that you didn't think you should have shot him because you were there to hear and see the events, correct?
Correct.
You were also asked by the police whether you were in fear of your life. And your answer was no. Because my dad was there. Is that right?
I don't recall, but that is something I would say because my dad would never let anything happen to me.
But that's, Mr. Sisti asked you a number of questions, well, sort of stated questions, answers, that you were in fear for your life, weren't you? And you answered, yeah.
I was fearful because he threatened me, but I knew my dad wouldn't let anything happen to me.
Okay. And so the officers asked specifically about that. They asked you whether you were in fear for your life. You said no, because my dad was there.
Yes.
You knew that your dad
That makes sense.
previously told us that you were aware your dad carried a firearm every night when he went plowing.
Yes.
You were aware that he was armed.
Yes.
They were asking you when or if Mr. Violet actually did anything, not say anything, but did anything, threatening, and you described rocking back and forth.
Correct.
Rocking back and forth, and maybe he could throw a punch.
Yes.
Okay. But that was when they were standing face to face, correct?
Correct.
When your dad shot Mr. Violet, they were not face to face.
I don't recall.
When your dad shot Mr. Violet, he could not have punched him.
I don't recall.
When your dad shot Mr. Violet, he wasn't rocking back and forth, was he?
I don't recall.
And the only time you heard a threat was when Mr. Violet was standing next to the car.
Correct.
Not when he was standing out in front of your house in the street. Not when he was pacing back and forth, correct?
Correct.
And now Mr. Sisti asked you, Attorney Sisti asked you, is it clear in your mind that he said, I'm going to fucking kill you and your family or your daughter, correct?
Yes.
The first part of that threat was, if you keep moving snow onto my property, right?
I don't recall.
You certainly recall that he came over and was saying, I'm sick of you putting snow in our yard,
I
correct?
don't remember that.
Page 314 in your automatic approach.
She says she don't recall.
So this is page 3, Council, line 12 through 18. If you could just read that to yourself, see if that helps.
Okay.
Does it help your memory?
Not really.
Okay, so what you said to investigators at the time, I got back into the truck and I didn't catch all of it, but I started listening. And all I heard was, I'm sick of you putting snow in our yard, which we weren't, putting snow in his yard, whatever. And like got bits and pieces of it, and all I got was, I'm gonna fucking kill you and your daughter. That's all I got. Correct?
Correct.
So you heard something about snow getting pushed and you heard a threat.
Correct.
And after that, Mr. Violet walked away.
I believe so. I don't remember.
And you at the time...
See, this is the tough thing about this whole situation. Even in her initial statement to the police, she said that he threatened them. So it's not like they got together at a later date and they said, oh, let's just say that he threatened us. And this is what she said. Even in her initial statement, she might not recall some other things, but she remembers the threat. All right, we're going to run it back.
This is page 3, Council, line 12 through 18. If you could just read that to yourself, see if that helps.
Okay.
Does it help two investigators at the time. I got back into the truck and I didn't catch all of it, but I started listening. And all I heard was, I'm sick of you putting snow in our yard, which we weren't, putting snow in his yard, whatever. And like got bits and pieces of it, and all I got was, I'm gonna fucking kill you and your daughter. That's all I got.
That's all that matters to me.
So
That's
you
the
heard something
initial.
about us.
That's the initial threat right there. That's all that matters to me. Don't really care about what else was said or done. After that, you threaten me, you come in my yard and do that. Nah, it's up. Stand your ground, law allows it.
Snow getting pushed, and you heard a threat.
Correct.
And after that, Mr. Violet
This is
walked
crazy.
away.
I believe so. I don't remember.
And you at the time said to the officers that he pulled a gun and that Mr. Violet was heading back towards his own home.
He was walking.
Described it to the officers as running.
Okay.
Fair, walking quickly back to his.
I don't remember.
Okay. The issue about, what your dad did, pulling back into the driveway. He didn't end up running, but he did have the conversation with you about whether he should, right?
Apparently, yes.
And how old were you at the time when he's asking you whether he should run after shooting a man in the street?
Who
I
cares?
was 19.
She's a grown
And it
woman.
was you who answered him. No, stay right here.
Correct.
I've shown you the transcript a number of times. This is a transcript that you have said is a statement from a complete and honest account. Anything about seeing that transcript look unfair to you?
No.
And my understanding over the past year is you haven't really wanted to talk to anybody about any of this, correct?
I haven't been offered.
You haven't wanted to either, correct?
I didn't go out and reach out, no.
No. I'm not suggesting you should, but you have communicated to people that you really don't want to talk about this, correct?
In public.
It's understandable.
And there's nothing about the transcripts that we've used to help with your memory or to give an account of statements that you made that was inaccurate, correct?
One more time?
There's nothing about these statements that I've shared with you that you've had an opportunity to look at that is inaccurate, correct?
Correct.
That's a broad question, but all right.
Thank you.
Actually, you wouldn't know if there's inaccuracies in it or not because they haven't given it to you.
Correct.
That's an interesting question. You haven't reviewed it, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
Right. Now, let's go to page 21. All right, and I want to ask you something, okay? Nobody wants to shoot anybody anytime, right?
No.
And you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, it's terrible that somebody shot somebody, right?
Correct.
And you wish that something like that would never happen, right?
100%.
Right. But that night it did, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's something that's out of character for your father, right?
Correct.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. Approach.
Yeah, the defense should have objected there. If she hasn't seen the whole transcript, then how would she know? That was I don't like that questioning at all. They're going to approach here and we'll skip ahead a little bit. But I don't like that line of questioning. I think it was misleading. And if she hasn't seen the transcript, how would she know? She doesn't know what was put in there. She doesn't know the answer she gave. And again, she's young.
You were basically in shock after the story.
Yes.
And your father was acting nervous, correct?
Yes.
All right? He didn't know what to do. Right?
No.
Both of you were there wondering what just happened, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is that the detective that night basically asked you some questions about that situation, and one of them was that when he ultimately shot the neighbor, okay, was it wrong at any point in there? And he said, do I think he should have? No. Do I think he was just reacting out of someone threatening his kid? I think that is, you know, we all react in different ways. I
There you
think
go.
he was just, in the end, trying to make sure I didn't get hurt. And I know he will do anything to keep me protected. Do I think he should have shot him? No. Do I think it was his just automatic response of my kid's in the car, I need to protect her? Yes. Is that your opinion today?
Yes.
Right. Was there any question in your mind that your father utilized that firearm to protect you?
Yes, that's all he was doing, was protecting me.
And was he protecting you because you were clearly threatened by somebody?
Yes.
And it scared you?
Yes.
There you
And he was
go.
trying to take care of you.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong about that, is there?
No.
Thank you.
I move to
Sorry,
strike,
Kara.
Your Honor, it's the conclusion for the jury, whether there's something wrong with it.
In her opinion.
The anti-firing
She's allowed to give her opinion, Judge. What are you sustaining that for? Let's skip ahead. I don't know. I think the prosecution's losing this case. I'm surprised they brought the transcript in there. Seems like a somewhat of a misstep on their part. And my belief is that the jury's going to be able to see that too. Let's skip ahead here and see if we get anything else. I think they might be done with her.
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah. Thank you very much. Can this witness be excused? Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Ma'am, thank you for your time
Thank
today.
you.
All right. So as y'all have said before, no bunny really knows what happened. But this was an excellent testimony from her. I mean, obviously, we had the transcript showing what she said as soon as the police arrived. And she said, hey, that man walked up into our yard and threatened us. He said, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of your family if you ever put snow in my yard again. I'm sorry, guys. In the stand your ground state, this seems like open and closed to me. Again, unless Jason was not allowed to have that gun in the first place. We're going to get into that later. Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comment in the chat, and let me know in the comments as well on this video. Let me know if y'all think Jason is innocent or guilty. All right, shout out to the chat, man. We got everybody in here. Shout out to over 700 of y'all that liked the video. Oh my gosh. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for the support. Wow. We're going to get into some more of this coverage. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to day 5 here, because day 4, there wasn't much going on. I think they were in court for a couple hours. There's some back and forth between the prosecution and the defense. Really nothing too interesting there. One of the great things about being on a delay. So we'll go ahead and get into day 5 here. Shout out to Libby22 SC girl up in here representing the 843. They got 864 out there now too, I think, Libby, if I remember right. Either way, shout out to the 843 and the 864. Libby says with the 5-bomb, hey y'all, just showing love. I missed the last few days. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Libby. We've got Trisha in here as well. Says hello, Classy, Amy, and the CEB family. Happy Wednesday. And Trisha has been a member for 3 months. Thank you for the love, Trisha. And also Kara in there. Let's give her a round of applause with the 2-bomb, with the super sticker. Says she's in a mood. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Amy says, I wonder if the bunny has a cell phone. If the bunny has a cell phone, is it considered a 24 karat ring? Jeez. Oh man. LTO says, they just don't seem to care at all. Oh man. Amy says, I'm guessing she doesn't feel good. I'm guessing when she doesn't feel good, She goes to the hospital. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Those area codes were getting on my nerves when I was there, Libby. I did not want them to bring in the 864. No, we stuck with the we stuck with the 843. All right, let's go ahead and get into day 5. And I'm gonna double check on one more thing that we might get to today as well. Y'all are wild. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like the video. Likes are free, y'all. Let me go back and see if we're good. All right. So up next, we are going to hear testimony from, again, one of the detectives involved in this investigation. Let's see what he has to say. Y'all check it out. Day 5. Let's go.
One, you swear that any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury. Yes, Your Honor. You may be seated. Counsel, whenever you're ready, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, can you state your name and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Yes. My name is Detective Jacob Garston, G-A-R-S.
Shout out to Detective Garson.
Can you briefly professionally introduce yourself to the jury? That is to state your professional experience and training.
I graduated from the University of New Hampshire in 2013 with a bachelor's in sociology and justice studies and a minor in information technology. I have a master's in public administration from John Jay College, City University, New York in 2020. I graduated from the New Hampshire Police Standards Training Council Police Academy in 2015, and I've been a law enforcement officer for a little over 10 years.
And where is it that you have worked as a law enforcement officer?
For the Rochester Police Department in New Hampshire.
And can you briefly describe your progression of rank and duties through the Rochester Police Department?
Yes. So I was a patrol officer for about 5 years, and then I've been a detective for a little over 5 years as well.
And we've heard from other parties the job description associated with the distinction between patrol and detective, so I think we need not belabor that. I would like to move directly to whether or not you were working on April 4th of last year, 2024.
I was picking up a patrol overtime shift that day.
And did you have any involvement, respond to the investigation concerning this case? As you know, State versus Jason Levesque.
Yes.
Can you just describe how it is you first became involved with notifying you?
There was a dispatch that there were shots fired on Summer Street, so all available units started heading in that direction.
So did you respond to the scene itself down to 4341 Summer Street?
Yes.
What was your job down there? What did you do?
So I arrived on scene, and patrol officers had Mr. Levesque currently detained, and they transferred custody of him to myself, and then I transported him back to the police station.
Were you with any other detective at the time?
At that time, while I was transporting him, no. It wasn't until I got back to the station that there was another detective there.
And can you confirm the very short distance between the scene and arriving back at the station?
Yes, it's police department is very close to where the incident took place.
And back at the station, did you, in fact, conduct an interview with Mr. Levesque?
I did.
I obviously want to spend some time on that, but I note that you had some other tasks which followed. Let's just go through those to address your investigative tasks associated with this case. Following the interview, looks like the next day, what did you do concerning this case?
So on the 5th, I reached out to the ATF to request a trace on the firearm to find out who the original purchaser was.
Okay, here we go. Now we get to learn about the gun.
ATF assistance to actually conduct an interview of the genesis or origin of the firearm.
Yes.
Did you document that in your report?
Yes.
And then, just to help things along here, my understanding is that on the 8th, you requested all the dispatch and 911 tapes.
I requested all the dispatch tapes. I'm not sure on the exact date, but it was a couple days after.
And what was your reason for doing that?
To identify any other additional potential witnesses that we haven't spoken to. Also, if there was any excited utterances, during the heat of the moment, someone might say something that they might not remember later on.
And did you, in fact, listen to all those correspondence, the dispatches, and memorialize that and take notes of it in your report?
Yes.
Did you follow up on any potential leads for witnesses in the surrounding area?
Yes, we spoke to a number of witnesses, myself and some of the other detectives, to try and identify any other potential witnesses.
In your view, did the people that you spoke to with made 911 calls have anything materially to add beyond what you were able to obtain from the people who were on the scene and the video that you obtained?
There was no real additional information that was gathered from those interviews.
I'm reviewing your report as well. Did you have any responsibilities concerning physical evidence in this case?
Yes.
What did you do?
So I believe it was on the 11th. I took the clothing from the drying rack, so anytime we have clothing that might be wet, we put into a drying cabinet so that way it can dry. I took the clothing and repackaged it, so for long-term storage.
And was that essentially the extent of your involvement with physical evidence concerning, scene analysis or anything along those lines?
Yes, I didn't do much on the scene. I did photograph the clothing as well prior to packaging it, but that was extended.
Let's see, did you, how far out, by the way, were you continuing to interview witnesses who were associated with the 911 calls?
So we identified all the witnesses that we could. We also checked social media.
Boy,
Person
detectives
that
are really
may have
into
made a
social
post that
media.
could be a potential witness on social media. We reached out to try and talk to them as well.
And did you document those interactions and any statements people may have made?
Yes.
Once again, concerning social media, those contacts, did you determine, in your view, whether there was anything material to add to what detectives obtained from the scene and video evidence?
No, it was more that they heard the shots or that they had seen the police response, but nothing material.
Sounds like the heart of the matter for your involvement in this case was interviewing Jason Levesque.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Describe for us the process that you said you took him into custody down at 43 Summer Street. Just walk us through what happens next.
So whenever we take someone, whether they're detained or arrested or in custody, we would conduct a search to make sure that there's no weapons, contraband firearms. He got transported to the police station in the back of my cruiser. He would be driven into the Sally Port. From there, I walked him into the booking area and then transported him via elevator up to the interview room.
And where did you ultimately take him?
To the interview room upstairs.
And talk to me about that interview room. Can you describe it for us?
So it's a approximately 10 by 10, 12 by 12 room. There's a circle table in the room. There's 4 red hard plastic chairs.
And look, this is at something like 10:30 at night. Can you share with us, describe for us how Mr. Levesque, appeared to you?
He was able to communicate. He had expressed that he had been working prior to that he had picked up his daughter from work, and that he was going home to
shouldn't have talked to the police
for his own home.
So before we get into the narrative, his account of sequence of events and things he heard and saw and did, I want to talk a little bit more about his appearance. You said he mentioned that he was at work. Did he share with you for how long he had been working?
Yeah, since approximately 10 p.m. the night prior.
For 24 hours at this point.
Yes.
Did he indicate to you that
it's a long day?
He was tired?
He indicated that he was tired from plowing. Yes.
And did you, in fact, try and address that in any way? Did you provide him with, for example?
Offered him coffee, gave him a moment to compose himself as well, and he indicated to me that he was able to proceed with the interview.
Let's be clear, the food you offered him was like a Slim Jim
Yes.
along those lines. Did you ask him whether he wanted more than that?
I asked about food. I can't remember if I asked more than that. We did offer him some candy as well. It's hard to get food in the PD at 10:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Did he, at any point, make any statements about his physical sensations, how he was feeling to you?
Yeah, at one point he did indicate that he was either lightheaded or dizzy.
Pardon me?
Sorry, at one point he did indicate that he was either lightheaded or dizzy.
And how did you respond to that?
It's called shock.
I asked him if he wanted EMS to evaluate him.
And what did he say?
He declined.
Did you continue to question whether he felt comfortable or capable of making a statement?
Yes.
Now, was there a period of time where you were, frankly, setting up, that is, right into the interview, or was there a delay between arriving at the station and actually beginning the interview itself?
There's a little bit of a delay. There's usually some rapport building before you start talking about the specific matter at hand. Also some arrangement of the room. And we also had to gather a Miranda form that we could go over with Mr. Levesque.
And during this kind of setup process, did you recall whether or not Mr. Levesque actually asked to lie down, literally on the floor?
Yes.
And did you accommodate that?
Yes, we did.
Describe what he did.
He laid down at one point. We let him
Yeah, I
rest
bet he
on the
was
table
exhausted.
when he wanted to rest. We didn't prevent him in any way from taking breaks when he needed.
And after that process where he said, I'd like to lie down, did you revisit whether or not he felt comfortable or capable of having a conversation?
I asked him multiple times if he was willing to, if he was okay, and if he needed any sort of assistance, or if he's willing to participate. Yes.
And from your perspective as an investigator, how did he appear during question and answering?
Yeah, he was able to recall fine detail. He was able to articulate himself. He was able to recall memories as far as what happened.
Was he responsive to specific questions, for instance?
Yes.
So was he oriented then to the topics that you were asking about?
Yes, and even before the interview, he's asked basic questions as far as his name, address, date of birth, phone number. He was able to recall those. No difficulty doing those as well.
Then I want to get into the substance of your conversation with Mr. Levesque.
Okay.
Did you ask him about the specific activities that preceded his contact with Kyle?
Yes.
Let's do this. Was this interview recorded?
It was.
And are you aware that there was a transcript generated of this recorded interview?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to review the transcript and the recorded interview?
I have.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach this witness. Well, I guess I can do this foundation. Do you recall each question and the specific words that Mr. Levesque used to respond to each question?
No.
Would using or referencing the transcript assist you in your memory and it being accurate concerning the words you use and the words Mr. Levesque used?
It would be. Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach this witness?
You may.
Your Honor, my request is to leave a transcript with this witness to refer to from time to time rather than the back and forth.
I have no objection to that. My question is, does it make sense to have one copy of the transcript marked as an exhibit for ID purposes?
Well, first of all, it
Or-
should be.
Yes.
It should be marked certainly for ID. I mean, we would prefer it all.
Well, I understand that. We've had that discussion, and I'll allow you to remake that argument if you need to at a later point. But at this point, where it's going to be used to refresh his recollection, as I understand it? Or
If we could briefly approach.
Sure.
Get it right, y'all. Get it right. Let's skip ahead through this break so they can get it together.
The video interview, does that appear to be the transcript you're referring to?
Yes.
I just indicated. I want to ask you some questions about the details of this conversation with Mr. Levesque. On page 33.
I want to know about this gun, though. What was up with that?
Is that the area where your question is about line 1819? And can you just read that to the jury?
I asked, okay, and you said you were going to clear the driveway?
What was his response?
Yeah.
And what did you follow up with?
Okay, and what happened after that?
And can you then describe Mr. Levesque's description of events before contact with Kyle on lines 22, following over the next page?
So I made a couple of passes, moving the snow towards 39 Summer Street. Then I turned around and I made one pass to grab the rest of it off the sidewalk and push it towards 43 Summer Street. Then I was going to backtrack the driveway, so I backed up and I got out to lock the hubs. They're the old manual locking hubs. They're not electronic or anything, so I got out to do that, and that's when he came up to the driveway.
And what was your understanding of what he meant by backdragging the driveway?
Sure, it's when you drop the plow and then pull it back instead of pushing the snow.
And so did you get into even a conversation about where that snow was going to go?
We didn't discuss the backdragging of snow to my knowledge, no.
Was it your understanding based on this description that Mr. Levesque had not completed his task of plowing his own driveway?
No, the driveway was still in the process of being plowed, is my understanding.
And The next question, did you ask him when it is and where it is that he first sees Kyle? I believe it's on line 6 and 7.
Yes, so I asked him,
Does
okay,
it really
where's the
matter?
first place you remember seeing him?
And can you share his response, starting line 8?
Yes. When I heard him yelling, screaming, or making some kind of commotion. I honestly don't know what he was saying. I remember hearing a voice or something coming from that direction.
Let me just take a little side step here. At this point, had you received and reviewed the videos that were ultimately obtained from 43 and 41?
During the initial interview, no.
And so at this point, were you able to, for instance, compare this claim that he heard yelling and screaming from 43 with the actual audio video evidence?
I was not.
Man,
And
I
then
wish
did you
there had
follow
been
up
good
trying to
audio.
get a better sense of where it is he first saw Kyle in the following question, which I believe is at line 12.
Upgrade your Ring cameras, y'all.
Yes,
Make
so I
sure
asked
you
him,
get good
okay,
audio.
when you say that direction, which, and he responded from 43 Summer Street.
And did you ask more specifically where at 43 Summer Street?
Yes, so I asked him, like the corner of the house, the garage, and he responded, the driveway.
And your response?
So I asked him, the driveway? Okay, so you look, I'm assuming you look over because you hear the noise.
And what's his answer?
Yeah, and there I saw him come from where I can finally see him coming out of the driveway. He was putting on his shirt. He was shirtless, so he was putting on his shirt.
And so his answer to you of when he sees Kyle for the first time, he's actually doing something. He's putting on that hoodie.
Correct.
And were you able to later view video and confirm that Kyle did in fact put on a shirt or a hoodie all the way back in his driveway at 43?
Yes.
And so now, from here, did you get into questions about, his actual appearance? You said you've established that his first time he notices Kyle, he hears something over there, and he actually sees him coming out of the driveway. I want to turn your attention to page 35. Did you try and get an understanding of what Jason claimed he saw in terms of Kyle's actions? And so I'm going to direct your attention to 35, line 6.
Yes, so I asked him, okay, so he was putting on a hoodie at that point. Describe, I guess, he's yelling at you.
Okay. And just before that, by the way, was he able to, even from that distance, give any kind of detail about, the nature of the shirt that he was putting on? And this is line 1 at 35.
Why do they
They
care so
described it
much
as
about
either,
this hoodie?
Or camo hoodie.
And so then we were just saying, after the hoodie, did you ask more specific questions about
I'm missing it, y'all.
activity?
Yes.
Line 10, what do you ask?
Why do they keep bringing up
How
the
far
hoodie?
away from the truck does he get at this point?
And what's his answer?
Oh, he's walking at a very fast rate towards the truck.
And did you ask him now about concerns for, say, weapons, or if he was brandishing anything?
Yeah, so I asked him, okay, anything in his hands?
And what were his answers?
His initial answer was, I don't know.
And did you pursue that?
Yes.
Line 16, what did you ask him?
Okay, are you able to see his hands from where you're seated on the truck?
And what was his response?
Yes, I could see. I guess I could see his hands.
And did you follow that up at 22 and ask him whether he was armed or had anything in his hands?
Yes, so I asked him, okay, and you're not sure if you saw anything in his hands?
And what is his answer at 24, 25?
I don't believe I saw anything. He had his hands clenched in a fist. Like,
Y'all stop talking to the
36,
police. With all due respect to the
could they
police.
describe,
Come on,
Kyle's
man.
hands?
yeah, so I said, oh, like this, and demonstrated a fist, rather. And he responded, yeah.
Did he also demonstrate a fist?
Yes.
And did you go on to continue to ask about the details of what, if anything, was in Kyle's hands?
Yes. So I said, all right. But at that point, his hands are in a fist. Did you see him holding anything?
And what was his response?
I did not see him holding anything. I don't think so.
Especially after you shoot somebody, man. Why would you talk to the police? Oh my gosh.
Is it your, I don't know if technique is the right question, but where somebody you're interviewing makes a statement or a series of questions, do you tend to kind of loop back towards it? Do you revisit the same questions at a later time in the interview?
Yes, for an interview, you might ask the same question multiple times in different manners.
Like?
One, to check consistency. Two, sometimes further on in the conversation, they might recall something that they did not recall at the time, but mostly to check consistency.
Page 98.
It's crazy.
Line 12. Is that an example of you revisiting whether he had a weapon?
Yes.
And what was your question?
Had you seen him with any weapon or anything at any point during any of this exchange or in the past?
And his answer is 1516.
I don't know. I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so.
He said he don't recall.
On that same page, and he's described earlier in this conversation where he's coming over to the truck at a very fast pace. It's got his fist clenched. Did you ask him here about his daughter at same page, line 9? Oh, excuse me, no, yeah.
Yeah, so on line 7, I asked, was he making any movements towards your daughter at that point?
And what was his answer?
No, he threatened me again, was just threatening me and I'm going to kill you and your family.
Okay. And let's get to that, the threat. It seems like you've asked multiple questions about the threat. I'm going to go back to 36, which is the first description of this. You've asked him details like what he's wearing, if he sees any weapons in his hands, and then at line 1516, it seems like you're now getting into the threat.
Yes.
Can you indicate this line of question?
Yeah, so I asked him, sneakers, okay, so he's coming at you yelling. Can you make out anything he's saying at this point?
And how did Mr. Levesque respond at line 18?
Yeah, he said, if you put that fucking snow at the end of my fucking driveway, I'm going to fucking kill you and kill your fucking family.
And did you ask?
Jeez, man. What a neighbor.
Certainty or how specific that was. Can you give us the follow-up from that?
Yes, I asked him, okay, and just to make sure that we're not paraphrasing, is that the... And he responded, yeah.
And can you go on? What term does he use to describe it?
He describes it verbatim.
Is that his word?
Yes.
Yeah, Kyle is... I would hate to have this guy as a neighbor.
37.2, does he continue to confirm those are the terms?
Yes, he says exactly what he said.
Did, at any point, I mean, you revisited the question about the threat.
Yes.
At any point, did it change to be more specific, say, towards Kira or daughter or anything like that, other than beyond, first, if you move the snow, I'll kill you and your family.
Yeah.
Did it ever change?
From what I recall, it was the same conditional threat throughout.
And you described him, or you asked about the process of coming over, what he could see, what he heard. Can you describe then what he claimed about the actual encounter itself, where that occurred, how close that happened? Page 40, line 10, 11.
So I asked him, okay, and if he and if he reached out and put his hand on your shoulder, was that close, or and he responded, closer.
Yeah, he touched him too.
So I
Wow.
asked him again, closer, and he responds, because was literally his nose was touching my face.
And does he reiterate what was said when they were literally nose to nose or face to face?
Yeah, he reiterates, if you put that fucking snow there, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Put that fucking snow there. Did Mr. Levesque ever indicate what snow is going where?
I don't recall as far as specifics. I'd have to refer to a specific page if you have a reference.
And did it ever deviate from, if you put snow somewhere, then I'm going to kill you and your family?
No, to my knowledge, it was still all the conditional threat throughout.
So he described to you a face-to-face, a nose-to-nose encounter combined with a threat. Did he describe what happened after the nose-to-nose encounter? Where did Kyle go? What did he do?
Yeah, so after they exchanged words, or that rather that Kyle made the threat, that he started to walk away.
You can't do that, man.
And then I want to
You just can't.
direct your attention to page 45, line 12. Well, let's start at 10. Excuse me, that's Mr. Levesque's answer. Your question is at 7. Can you share your question?
Yeah, so I asked, all right, so he starts walking away, you said, and how far away did he get from you at that point?
What's his answer?
Well, my truck was parked. If this was my driveway right here, my truck's parked here, and he had made it to like the front of the house, and that's when he stopped and turned around and came back.
And did he describe on page 46 how he claimed Mr. Violet, how Kyle appeared when he turned around and started coming back, 46 line 10?
Yes. He said he's still very agitated. He's got his fist. He's very animated in how he's yelling. And just, he's going to fucking kill me and my family for moving snow, I guess.
That's crazy.
He claims at this point, while Kyle is in front of 43, that he's yelling these things, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, did you yet have the audio from 43 and from across the street?
We did not have the video or the audio at that point, no.
And did he describe to you
I think Kyle is going to testify.
what he did in response to Kyle walking back towards the house? This is 48, line 9.
Yes.
Well, can you just share your question on
Yeah.
line 8?
So I asked him what happened next, and Levesque responded, when he started coming back at me again, I didn't want to I went and drew my firearm and I pointed it at him.
What does he claim happened after he brandished, that is, to take out and pointed his weapon at Kyle?
That Kyle continued towards him.
Well, can we be more specific? Line 13, same page. How does he describe Kyle coming at him after Mr. Levesque drew the weapon?
Yeah. And at that point,
None of this
that's when he
matters.
came at me. He was
It
coming
really
back
doesn't.
at me like he was ready to go.
And did you
It really
follow
doesn't.
up on that? Actually, why don't you share with us your next question on 16?
So I said, okay, so let's kind of dissect that a little bit. And he responded, yeah. And then I asked him, so as far as he was coming at you, ready to go, help me understand what you mean by that.
And what did he say?
Like before, he kind of was, his hand was in a fist. Now he was coming at me like he was going to attack me.
And have you responded to that?
I responded, okay.
And did he continue to speak of this?
Yes. And he said, or he was going to take the gun. I don't know what he was going to do, but he was coming at me. He was ready to go.
And this is his claim after he takes the gun out and points it at Kyle.
Correct.
And again, did you have the video? To
Shouldn't have
compare
talked to the
his
police,
words
Jason. Come
to
on,
the
man.
images captured on 4 different videos?
Not at that time.
Did you try and get even more detail on this notion of Kyle coming at Jason with his pointed weapon, in terms of how he was able to infer that he was going to be attacked?
Yes, there would have been follow-up questions to that, yes.
For example, a follow-up question on line 3.
Yeah, so I asked him, okay, and what makes you think that? And he responded, I don't know how to describe that, but I'm sure if you saw somebody coming, you can tell if someone's coming at you and they're going to attack you. But if they're coming for, they want to take something from you or hurt you or whatever.
Mm. I would love to know what the police think,
Did you have,
if they think he's innocent.
Did you revisit, did you confirm whether or not Mr. Levesque actually had the firearm out and pointed when Kyle was supposed to be coming at him to attack him?
Yes.
Is that page, again, 49, I believe you asked a question at 14.
Yes, so I said, okay, was the gun out at that point when he was, and Levesque responds, yes. When he started coming back at me again, that's when I drew the gun.
And did you ask more details about how far away he got, or how far away he was when the gun came out?
Yeah, so I asked, okay, how far away was he when the gun first came out? And Levesque responded, probably about 10 feet.
Mm.
And you?
So I said, 10 feet? Okay, and did you see his hands at that point?
What was his answer?
Yes, they were clenched and I asked, they were still in fists? And he responds, fists, yeah, right.
And just to clarify, did you continue to really make clear that this is when he has the gun pointed in your follow-up
Yes, he's been in jail.
Did you
Jason's
ask
been in
him
jail
where
since
was
April.
Anything about the gun?
Give me one
Yeah,
second.
So I asked, to be perfectly clear, I was getting some more information. I asked him where the firearm was prior to this, where he drew the firearm from, if it was in a holster, where it was on his body.
And what did he say?
He said that, that he was in his waistband, in a holster, yes.
Okay. And did you use the term, and again, this is at line 3, page 50, prior to this description, these claims about what Kyle was doing?
Yeah. So I asked, and where was the firearm prior to this?
And what was his answer?
And he responds, in my waist.
And, just getting back to asking about Kyle's hands, at any point at this point, this is not the nose-to-nose, but where Kyle turns, does he claim that Kyle had a weapon or anything in his hands that could cause lethal injury?
At no point did he indicate that he had a weapon on him, no.
And his claim was that Kyle didn't stop, but rather came out.
Yeah, that he continued to advance on him, yes.
In fact, you get into a little bit more detail about this on page 53. You asked a question at line 2. Can you share that?
And then you pointed at him, and he responds, yep. And I asked, and what does he do when he sees that?
And what are you referring to, pointed it at him?
The firearm.
Any question about that, reviewing the prior page? For instance, 52 of line 18.
Yeah, so at 18 I said, so you pulled out the gun with the right hand, and when it comes out of the holster, where is it going from there? And he responds, in my hand like this, and he gestures with arms stretched out in front of him, imitating pointing the gun.
Got it. And so we were at the point where you're asking some follow-up about what Kyle does when he sees the firearm. Can you share Mr. Levesque's claim at line 6, page 53?
Yes. That's when I guess the best way to describe it, it looked like a rage, like that really infuriated, like he was angry. He was coming at me, and he was going to hurt me and take the gun, whatever, maybe.
And did you have some questions about that claim?
Yes, so I said, okay, what makes you, I need you to be as detailed and descriptive as you can. And he responds, I saw him come at me, like the look in his eye, like he was angry, like he was pretty much gave me a look like it's you or me. I saw him come at me, like he was angry, like he was...
And he described how quickly, after the firearm is produced and pointed at him, how quickly...
I mean, their stories seem pretty consistent.
Yeah, so I asked him, and how was, I guess, his pace towards you? And he responded, he was coming at me I think at a pretty fast rate. So then I asked him, did that change at all from before the firearm was drawn? And he responds, yeah.
And what's your next question?
All right, so he walked, and Levesque responds, he quickened when I drew the firearm.
And your next question on 54.
So I asked again, okay, so he went towards you faster, and he responds, yes. And I finished my question, once the firearm was drawn, okay, how was it prior to the gun being, I know it was slower, but are we talking like he was walking? And Levesque responds, no, he was walking, a fast walk.
All right. I'm going to ask again. You've advanced a number of pages in the transcript and the sequence in terms of the narrative. At this point, when he's claiming not only did Kyle continue to walk at him after he produced the gun, but he actually increased his pace towards Mr. Levesque. Have an opportunity to review the actual video at this point.
At this point, no.
You have an opportunity to review the actual video of how Kyle responded once the firearm was brandished or produced.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Did you have an opportunity to view this moment when how Kyle responded in the video when Jason brandished or pointed the firearm?
No, as I had not had the video, access to the video at that point.
All right, so we're gonna take a second from this. Y'all have to let me know what you think. Again, we're just going through Jason's testimony here, or Jason's interview, really, and it seems like the story's pretty consistent from when they first spoke to the police at the scene, from when they were interviewed, to now where they're actually in court saying, yes, this is what happened, and the defense is saying, yes, this is what happened. Y'all have to let me know what you think. And I'm looking at the poll that we have in here, as well as what y'all are saying in the chat, and it looks like most of y'all are still thinking Jason is guilty. Wow, I'm surprised. Either way, let me know why you think it's either one or the other in the comments and in the chat. What we're gonna do, we are going to pivot because Jason is finally taking the stand. This is the first time we've seen the defendant take the stand on this channel, actually. So this is record breaking for sure. Jason is on the stand. We're going to go ahead and get into it. He's already testified a little bit, so we'll get into when he first takes the stand here. And then we'll probably fast forward once we get through, because they took a little bit of a break, and then we'll fast forward to where they're currently at now. So if y'all are ready, let me go ahead and update this, because this is going to be considered day 6. We've got him here, and Jason testifies. Here we go. Hopefully y'all are ready. This is what we've been waiting for. Interesting to see a defendant finally take the stand here. So we've got Jason, the alleged, well, I can't even say alleged shooter, because I don't think he's saying he didn't shoot him. This is the alleged attempted murderer, I guess you would say. Anyway, he's finally taking the stand here. We're going to hear his side of the story from his own mouth, and I'm sure the prosecutors are going to want to get into his transcript, or the transcript from his original statements and interview to the police. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I can't believe he's testifying. This is crazy. Skip ahead a little bit here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all being prompt this morning and being on time. Sorry we weren't able to start right on time, but these things happen. As I told you at the close yesterday, the defendant is not required to put on a defense if he doesn't choose to, but in this case I'm being told the defense has opted to put on a defense, and my understanding is that the first witness that they're going to call is the defendant himself, and so we are ready to proceed. Counsel, you may inquire.
This is going to be interesting.
Could you swear? Jason influenced
My
this?
goodness, you're right. You raise your right hand. You swear that any testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury. You may be seated. And just try to keep your voice up so everyone can hear you.
Yes, Your Honor. Can everybody hear me? Thank you.
First, let me get through some formalities here. Just state your name and spell your last name for the jury, please.
My name is Jason Levesque, Levesque.
And you just heard the judge explaining that, of course, we don't have the burden to put on any evidence.
Yes.
Are you freely, voluntarily, wanting to testify for this jury today?
Yes, sir.
I think this is a good case for him to testify, though.
So the jury gets to know you a little bit.
We'll see.
Where were you born?
I was born in Rochester, New Hampshire at Frisbee Memorial Hospital.
And have you lived in this area all your life?
All 45 years.
Who else lives in the Rochester area?
My daughter, she resides with me, and my two parents, they live downstairs at my house.
The jury went out on a view, you know that, you were with us. And your house is which number?
My house is number 41 Summer Street.
Okay. And just, again, for the record, could you describe it so everybody has a clear picture of what we're talking about?
As in the property?
Yeah.
My house was the one when we were coming from the traffic lights. It would be the first house that we viewed with the front porch with the steps. The driveway's to the right-hand side. There's some landscaping out front. There's a fence that directly follows the right-hand side of my driveway, and there's a garage at the back.
And again, you stated that your daughter lives with you and your parents. And can you give us some positions? Where would your parents be in that house? If the jury's looking at it square.
If you're looking at the front of the house, it's a duplex, and my parents live downstairs. So they're getting older, so we put it that way. That way they don't have to deal with any stairs. And my daughter and I reside upstairs in the upstairs apartment.
Okay. And I guess there was a porch area there and steps that go up to the porch area of the house?
That is correct. The front entry is on the front of the house where there's a porch, and the front steps go up to the front door, which you can access both the upstairs and downstairs.
All right, so we're going to get to that positioning in a few minutes, but I just want to make it clear it's your parents that live right there, right, basically on the street.
That's correct. Their bedroom is the front room of that downstairs apartment. Their beds are right there at the window.
Now, you mentioned your daughter. What's her name?
Her name is Kira.
And how old is she?
She is 20 years old.
Yes, Jason's been in jail since last April.
I take it you're a single father?
I am.
And, how long have you and Kara been a team?
I received sole custody of my daughter when she was approximately 16 years old.
Man, he's already getting.
She's lived with me all her life. We've always lived together. However, there was some issues with her mother, and her mother's left the house, and I received sole custody of her, I believe, approximately 15 or 16. It was 2019.
And she's been with you exclusively since then?
Yes.
And, can you generally just tell the jury what kind of relationship you have with her?
Sorry. My daughter and I have a very close relationship ever since she was a young child. She would go out with me when I was doing heating. She would on call with me, or if we were plowing, she'd go plowing with me.
You okay?
She used to operate the plow for me even when she was younger. She used to find great fun in that. As she got older, she started working, so she didn't want to drive. She had a little accident when she was learning how to drive, went through my parents' garage door at their previous house, so until she was 18, she didn't get a license, so I had to drive her back and forth to Rye every day for her job. Also, when she was in high school, she did an internship as a teacher at an elementary school in town, so I used to have to drive her there every day. Her and I were very close. Always have been.
Where did she go to school?
She went to elementary school at Chamberlain Street School in Rochester, then to Rochester Middle School. Then she graduated Spalding in, I believe it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2022. And then she moved on to Southern New Hampshire University. Right now she's taking a pause from college, but I believe she's enrolled to start at the University of Arkansas.
Very proud of her.
I am very proud of her. I'm sorry.
You talked about your neighbors a little bit, okay?
Okay.
The jury has heard
It's gotta be tough.
folks, just two of them that live next door to you. Did you have any kind of relationship with your neighbors of any significance?
But which ones?
Well, let's go through Well, let's go through Kyle's daughter took the stand. You saw her.
I did, yes.
Did you know her or have any interaction with her ever before?
I did not know that there was a young female living there, no.
And again, how long have you lived in that house?
I lived in the house 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And then you saw, I think she's referred to as Kyle's girlfriend, the mother of the child. And you saw her testify as well.
That's correct.
Did you have any interaction with her?
I did not have any interaction. However, I did know that she did live there. I frequently saw her coming and going.
But not even a hello or anything like that?
No.
Now, I want to ask you about the other person that lived there, and that's Kyle himself. Did you have any kind of relationship with him?
Before that evening, I did have one interaction. That would be in sometime, probably October or November. In the fall, I was out front pressure washing my house. And a gentleman came out of that driveway, was running around, acting kind of crazy, looked at me and said, "You fucking rat, I'll kill you and your family."
Okay, let's hold on here a second. This is October, November of 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were in front of your house doing some chore.
Yes.
Had you had any kind of contact that would have elicited that kind of reaction from him prior to him coming over and confronting you?
No, I did not even know that he lived there. I'd only seen his girlfriend, or Angela, was the only person I'd ever seen coming and going from there.
And again, explain for the jury just what this guy did.
He was running around in his driveway very erratically, and said, "You fucking rat, I'm going to kill you and your family." It just kept moving back and forth. So at that point, I decided it was just best to go in the house and leave the situation, not to antagonize him or even engage with him, not knowing who he was or what was going on.
Yeah, Kyle's
then when inside, I
crazy.
told my parents just keep the blinds closed on that side of the house. Hopefully, he'll just leave us alone after that.
All right, so you went inside and you informed your folks of that.
That's correct.
And did something happen just shortly after that?
Later on that evening, I was outside working in my garage. I had exited the garage to go into the house, and he and another gentleman were walking by. He came into the driveway and said, "You fucking rat, I'm going to kill you and your family." At that time, I went back into the garage and closed the door to, again, not engage with him.
So, I mean, we've heard that, I mean, was that a threat towards you
Yes.
and your family?
Yes.
Nothing
Dang, he had
conditional
threatened him
about that.
before?
No, sir.
And did you understand it
on,
as a threat?
I did.
And how did that impact you? How did that stay with you?
It made me nervous. At that point, after that, I installed some security lights, some security cameras. That way I could keep an eye on things, and just, I didn't know who he was or what it was with him that he didn't like me, but I wanted to be more vigilant after that to make sure I was aware of my surroundings.
So after that, what did you do?
I installed some security cameras and some security lights, motion lights, so if somebody comes on my property, it lights up at night so I can see there's somebody there.
Now, we pointed out some cameras at your place when the jury was taking a view. Were those some of the cameras you installed because of that event?
Yes, I installed 12 cameras, 2 1 terabyte hard drives. Each camera is covered by another camera, and every entry to the house is covered by a camera.
And that was triggered because of that content?
Yes, sir.
Did you also alter any behavior with regard to your daughter?
I did.
Explain that.
Don't mess with my family, man.
After that, my daughter, she works at the pizza place. She had been driving at this point. She comes home at night. She had been aware of the altercation. I was concerned, and she was concerned about coming in the front door, seeing as the property's right there. So she would call me when she was on her way home, and I'd meet her at the door and make sure, or go out to the car and make sure she got in the house safely.
So you basically were escorting her in after work.
That is correct.
She would call you in the driveway and you'd go down and get her.
She typically called me coming down Eastern Avenue, which is the road right there by the post office.
Okay. Then you meet her outside?
That's correct.
Okay, let me
Could be
let me
drugs.
jump
That's
to,
a great point.
I'm actually going to jump to April 3rd. We've been hearing a lot about April 4th, but wow, but your day actually started April 3rd and it was continuing, right?
That is correct.
So why don't you explain to the jury about what time did you get up on April 3rd, the day before the shooting?
I woke up around, I believe, 8 o'clock. I had some breakfast. I was redoing my dining room, doing floor and painting. I wanted to try and get the painting done before I went to work. I knew that snow was coming. However, we had not got a time that we were supposed to start yet. So I pretty much took the day and I finished cutting in all the dining room and doing the painting around there.
Y'all think it was drugs?
It was approximately 6 o'clock in the evening. I received a text from my boss saying, looks like start time is going to be 10 p.m. I'd like you to do what we call a sniffer route, go around and start driving through the properties, seeing if there's snow accumulating on the ground, and seeing when we should start calling in other people to take care of those properties.
Okay, so between 8 and 6 in the evening on the 3rd, had you taken a nap or rested or anything like that?
No, I did not. I anticipated the snow starting much later, so I figured I'd have some time, but I didn't really have time after he called. I needed to clean up all my supplies, to have something to eat and get ready.
All right. So at or around 10 o'clock, what do you do?
10 o'clock, just before 10 o'clock, I'd say maybe quarter of, I take my vehicle out of the garage. I put my parents' vehicle in the garage so they don't have to worry about cleaning snow off of it. Then I drive to Home Depot where my plow truck is parked behind there, where our salt shed is. I start my truck. I go over my pre-trip inspection to make sure my truck's safe for operation, make sure it has oil in it, coolant, windshield washer fluid. I then go over and start the front end loader. I let that warm up. I go in, I log into my tablet so I can log into the application site photos, which keeps track of my time card. It also keeps track of where I am plowing and salting. I then went to the loader. I grabbed 2-3 buckets of salt. I filled up my truck, covered over the salt, made contact with my boss, let him know I was ready to go. He said, all right, start running your route.
Okay. Up until that point in time, had you gotten any sleep?
That
No,
poor
sir.
court reporter is probably
Sounds like it was
fingers
very
on fire.
active at the beginning of 10 o'clock.
Yes. Yeah.
Who do you work for, by the way? I don't know if you ever covered
I work for North Atlantic Snow.
that. And how long have you been working for them?
This would have been last year, my 3rd season.
3rd season?
That's correct.
When it's not snowing, how do you make a living?
When it's not snowing, I do car, audio, and electronic installs.
Where do you?
He's an entrepreneur.
I do some on the side of my house. I also work from time to time for Speed of Sound in Somersworth.
All right. So, what was your agenda starting at 10 o'clock? What were your jobs? Give the jury an idea of what you do. I mean, most of us are in bed when you guys are out doing this.
Correct.
All right. What's going on?
So we do all commercial application or commercial properties. We do big box stores, like I said, we start at Home Depot. We also have government, we do district courts. We do healthcare facilities. We do urgent cares, hospitals. We do pharmacies, Walgreens. We do gas stations. We have Cumberland Farms. We have Irving. We have auto parts stores. I have Advanced Auto Parts. We do properties for Rochester Housing Authority. We have 4 or 5 of those in Rochester. We also do for the Postal Service, United Postal Service in Gonick and in Rochester. I also service the Lee Urgent Care, Lee Dollar General, Lee Walgreens, Lee Aroma Joe's, and then there's also condo associations we do work for in Rochester.
All right. So, you got a lot of contracts.
We do. Approximately probably 45 in the Rochester area.
Wow.
How many do you have to serve?
So what happens is when we start out, I'm the main person for the company when it comes to going out to start with. I go around and start running all of the properties. As soon as it starts snowing heavier or more help is needed, we'll call in our subcontractors. You know, if it's snowing, there's no way we could take care of one person could take care of all those properties. So as it starts snowing heavier, I condense my route down to a couple of gas stations, the Irving on Columbus Avenue, the Advanced Auto Parts on Columbus Avenue, the 2 Rochester Housing Authority properties off of Brock Street, the Gonick Post Office, the Gonick Circle K or Irving, and Bramber 2 Condo Association on Old Dover Road.
All right. So now we're into April 4th, correct?
Yes.
And have you been plowing all day?
I'd been plowing all night of April 3rd into April 4th in the morning. During the afternoon, snow slowed down a little bit, so we got to do some cleaning up and maybe applying some salt. And then April 4th in the evening, it started coming down pretty well, which that evening was the first time I've ever experienced thunder snow. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it was coming down at a very heavy clip.
Again, had you gotten any sleep?
No, sir.
Wow, that's
At some point in time, did things slow down? Did you get to start thinking maybe it's time to go home?
So later on in the day on April 4th, it definitely started to slow down. I got a call from my boss, I'd say around 9 o'clock. He asked me if I need salt left on my truck. I said I did. He said, well, if you can go and put a heavy application down on Hannaford on Milton Road, after that you can go, take a break. We're going to be meeting back at Home Depot at 2 a.m. to start running a salt route and coordinating what we're going to do for cleanups for the day.
Okay. So you were getting ready to wrap it up for a while?
That's correct.
What was your plan? How were you going to go about finishing your evening?
I had brought my daughter to work. I did forget about that. I brought my daughter to work the day previous, earlier that day. I don't want her driving in the snow. There's no reason to. I'm out and about in a 4-wheel drive pickup truck. No reason for her to be driving. So she was getting
Makes
out of work at
sense.
10 o'clock. So I was going to Shoreville Plaza over in East Rochester to pick her up and then head home.
Okay. And where does she work?
She works at Rochester House of Pizza.
So in fact, did you pick her up that evening?
I did.
And was it at around 10 o'clock?
It was around 10 o'clock.
And what did you guys do after you picked her up?
Well, she got in the truck. You know, we said, how's it going? Good. We started heading down Eastern Avenue. We turned on Summer Street. And then I came up to the house.
Okay. Jason, at this time, we're going to play a video. And with the court's permission, if he could get closer to the television, he has an eyesight. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, they're going to show the video. Here we go. We're going to show Jason's work.
Okay, we're going to start this. I'm going to ask you questions as we move along. You recognize that area?
I do. This is my house right here. This is my front porch, my front steps. That's the utility pole that we saw when we were out there.
Okay. And the utility pole, that's become kind of a focal point. Where is that actually located?
So that utility pole is approximately even with the post on my steps right there. Somewhere around that area. This is a landscaping timber with approximately 4 to 6 feet of grass that's on my property. The landscaping timber runs along the property that runs 43.
So how far in toward your house is that pole?
In reference to 43 or towards my house?
Well, I mean in reference to the driveway.
It's approximately, I'd say, 6 feet to where the driveway starts. Actually, to the pavement, it's probably about 10 feet. There's a small grassy area on that property as well.
All right.
Do you want me to tell you?
Who's that guy?
That's me. I'm pulling up. Before I start plowing any property, I assess the property to see.
Man,
where
show us the video.
are,
Dang.
Been there to plow it. Even though it's my house, I do have my neighbor at 39. He helps me manage the snow. I noticed that the banking is still there from the plow, so I'm going to back up. I'm going to take most of that snow and plow it into the area of the fence at 39 Summer Street. We're in agreement that because I don't have a lot of place to put snow, I can put the banking there.
All right. So when you're banking snow away from your property, it's going toward 39.
39, that's correct.
Does it ever go toward the home of Kyle Bauer?
Not at this point. I want to take most of my banking. As you see, I'm going to come in and grab it again and bring it over and put it on the lawn of 39. Because there's no place to put snow over. As this continues, you'll see when I turn the truck around, I'm trying to pick up the small amount of snow that's right here on the sidewalk. And you'll get a better view from the other camera. The sidewalk is clear by the city. And the snow spills out the side of the plow. I want to clean that up so I have a clean sidewalk there.
Okay.
And that's when I bring it right here, a small bank, just what's spilled out right there.
Okay.
But I want the majority of the snow to go that way because he also coordinates with me. We take most of the banking from in front of his house and we bring it behind his house in the park.
Jason didn't want no
39,
problems.
39, that's correct.
All right. Let's watch this for a second. Do you see okay?
As you see, I'm slowly trying to collect the snow with the plow V. That way I don't make a mess of what the city's done by trying to grab all the snow.
Okay.
If I leave a banking there, when it melts and refreezes, it becomes icy, or it's water we have to get through to get in our house.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Did anybody ever ask you, did Kyle ever ask you to plow his driveway or plow out front of his house?
No, sir.
Did anybody from that property ever ask you?
No, sir.
Interesting.
Hold on that note, there may have been a conversation with a lady that lived over there another time about they had plowed some snow up on here and my mother had a Japanese maple there. And I asked them, be careful of that. Please don't plow the snow right there. They could use the rest of it, but snow did like it. I asked them not to bother that tree. And I believe she had asked me if I could plow their driveway every storm. And I said, I work for a commercial company, I can't do residential. However, I mean, if you asked it, I was probably
That
open
makes
to the
sense.
driveway for you, but I can't make it an account.
No, I see. We can't hear anything, but cars are going by the road.
Mr. Tesla's not buying it. Oh, come on, Long Crime. We got it. We're just getting to the good part.
Now you see I've turned around, I've had my plow feed, and I'm coming to grab whatever's spilled out of the side of the plow on the sidewalk and make a small banking right there at the telephone pole.
And that's just to clean things up.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what's spilled over on the street side of the plow, and then I'll come in and grab what's spilled over on the house side.
Can we stop it for a second? Just some mechanics with regard to your rig. What year is it? What model is it? What's it equipped with?
So it is not my personal vehicle, so I have to try and jog my memory. I believe it's 2019 or 2021 Ford F550. It's a turbo diesel. It has a 9.5-foot Fisher stainless steel V-plow on it. It has a Boss spreader. That's for the salt. It's got the flashing lights. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get to a point. I want to ask you, it's a four-wheel drive vehicle. You mentioned that earlier.
It is, yes. It's so it's a commercial vehicle, so it doesn't have the convenient push button you'd have like in a regular vehicle that you would drive, say anybody else. Because of the amount of weight the vehicle has to it, I believe that's why it has the manual locking hubs on it.
Okay.
So you have to lock the hubs, then you have to shift the transfer piece.
Okay, let's continue.
And here I'm trying to clean up this little door. That's the telephone pole. Again, I'm not reaching the telephone pole with the plow.
What do y'all think of this testimony so far?
Again, just making one fast running through it still up. There's the telephone pole and come reach the plow. Now I'm coming in closer to the landscaping, try and get what's on the sidewalk, keep it clean.
And remember, Kyle's girlfriend admitted, longtime girlfriend admitted that Jason did not push any snow into their yard. Essentially, there was no reason for Kyle to come out there in the first place.
At any point, did you distribute any of that snow on Violet driveway?
Nope.
No, sir.
You sure didn't.
Here I am, opening the door.
Okay, we can stop right there. You're opening the door. What's the reason we can stop right there?
The reason is I'm going out to engage the hubs so I can put it in four-wheel drive. As I mentioned earlier, my boss called and asked me to go and put an application in Hanford, so I had no salt in the vehicle. Typically, we keep our salt full, so that you use the weight of the vehicle to push the snow and you're not being hard on the equipment. The weight of the vehicle will do most work for you, as opposed to if you have like a half-ton truck or three-quarter-ton truck, you really need to put some effort into moving this. But a vehicle that size, with all the weight in the back, it effortlessly pushes this. So I'm getting ready to back drive my driveway. Without any weight in the back, the wheels are just going to spin there. So when I put it in four-wheel drive, I'm able to move that weight back to the snow backwards without having the weight in the back.
Okay, so it was your intention then to lock the hubs, right?
That's correct.
And then you were going to continue on with some plowing.
That's correct.
And what plowing was it your intent to continue doing?
At this point, once I had the hub locked, my intent was to go into my driveway, approximately a vehicle length or more, and back drag it out, and then bank it up over onto 39, the grass at 39. Again, pull forward almost to the garage, back drag that back out to the sidewalk, push it to 39, and then do that also by the fence. Again, a small back drag, and then the rest of the back drag, and bank it to 39.
Right. Then I assume then call it a night.
Yes, then go and go to sleep fine.
Okay. Before
She
we
did
start
admit
up,
it, yep.
We see an individual in the driveway. Did you notice the individual at that point in time when you were getting out of the truck?
When I was getting out of the truck, I did not notice anything.
And can you tell the jury, why don't we roll it? Why don't you tell the jury when you first noticed this individual?
From this video, I'm not exactly sure when, but I obviously kneeled down to block the unknown closet for a moment.
Okay. You know,
So I don't believe I've seen him at this point because I wouldn't have kneeled down to my hub to lock the hub if I would have seen an individual approaching, especially after the interaction in October, November. So I'm going to have to make it into something. I don't know for sure, but at this point, I don't believe I've noticed them because I would have kept my eyes on them.
How did it come to your attention?
All messed up, man.
When I stood up, I noticed there was a gentleman approaching me.
Were you up right there?
No, it looks to me that I'm still bent down, locking the house.
Okay, how do we continue?
I'm standing up now.
Okay, hold it. And that would have been the initial confrontation?
Yeah, it looks like I did bend back down. Again, trying to keep up with how it's playing. But he has not approached me yet. He's still working towards me. Oh, now I've stood back up.
Okay. Were you surprised to see him?
I was very surprised.
Had you done anything to cause him any agitation prior to that confrontation?
Yeah,
I
he
don't think-
existed.
I had not had any interaction with that evening at all.
When he came right up to you, can you tell the jury if he said anything to you?
He said, if you put any stone in front of my house, I'll fucking kill you and your family.
Did that make any sense to you at
Jeez.
all?
No, it did not. I did not move any stone in front of myself.
Now, we've been talking, and we've seen this video a few times, and we're trying to describe just how close he was. We're going to have other videos, but can you describe to the jury
Crazy.
how close he was
Absolutely
to you?
insane.
When he made his initial approach to me, he was finally rushing spot with his nose up against my face.
I mean, I'm going to walk up to you, and you tell me when to stop. Okay? Got it?
Oh, this is gonna be awkward.
I'm walking. Which side did he approach you?
He approached me on this side.
Just so y'all know, this scene is definitely going in the thumbnail. I'm gonna let it play. Here we go.
Still closer? Closer. Can't get it. It's too big. How about that?
There you go.
He actually
Oh,
touched you with his face?
Yes.
How'd that make you feel?
awkward.
Uncomfortable.
Feel good.
Absolutely.
Do you have any idea what this guy was going to do?
I did not.
So he touches you with his body right on your face, and he says, he's going to fucking kill you.
That's correct. In my family.
Did
Free
this give you a
Jason,
little
man.
flashback of October or November?
It,
Again, while this was going on, was your daughter with you?
she was.
And where was she?
She was in the passenger seat.
She was staying in the truck from what you knew?
I believe so, yes.
So this guy's up against you literally, flesh on flesh, right? And is he calmly saying things, or what's his tone of voice?
No, he's extremely agitated. He's yelling at me. He repeated himself again. If you put stone in front of my yard, I'll fucking kill you and your family.
And again, did that make any sense at all?
It didn't. I was frozen. I didn't know what to think. I was confused by this.
Now, there's been testimony, of course, we're going to get to some points here in your testimony, that you were carrying a firearm.
That is correct.
And is that typical of you in certain situations, or what's the deal?
It is behind Home Depot where we park the vehicles and we grab our salt. I had an altercation earlier that year where a gentleman came out of nowhere, approached me as I was getting in the vehicle. He brandished a machete, and I was able to move away from him. We did call the police, and I believe they came and got him, and there was no further interactions. But at that point, I decided that my safety was not worth putting in jeopardy going forward.
All right, so when you were doing night plowing jobs and going behind Home Depot, it was typical of you to carry a firearm.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right, and this night was no different.
That's correct.
Okay, why don't we run the film? Okay,
See here,
hold it. The last question.
Whatever, I can rewind this a little bit.
Go back a little.
Yeah, I don't know anything about New
Now
Hampshire.
he's made a couple of, threats about the snow thing. Then he starts on, you don't believe me? I'll
Okay,
kill
what do you mean by that? What does he say?
The first two times, or I believe he said, if you put snow in front of my house, I'll kill you and your family. And then he continues with, if you don't believe me, I'll fucking kill you and your family.
That's what he said?
Yes, sir.
Why don't we move?
Crazy, man.
How many times does he approach you like that? Hold on.
It was, I believe, 3 or 4.
Is he saying the same stuff over and over?
He is.
How's that making you feel?
I'm still frozen. I wasn't sure what, I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like he was
He was gonna do
Rage,
something.
I felt like he was going to harm me in my face. But this time, I was hoping that hopefully he would just
Where we go? Yeah, hold it. Is that another interaction?
That was another interaction where he came right up to my face, nose to face, and threatened to kill me and my family.
Did that have anything to do with snow at the time, or was it just threatening?
Not after the first time or two. He came just, you don't believe me? I'll kill you and your family. The snow was no longer a fact. Now it was just, he was angry. He wanted to hurt me and my family.
I mean, it's on video. The daughter was still in the truck the entire time.
He's
Yes.
backing off here?
Yes,
I stopped.
he did.
Now what happened?
Now he's pointing at me.
What's he saying?
He's saying, I'm going to kill you and your family.
Stop.
You don't fucking believe me?
Okay. Now,
Wow.
now what's going on?
He's approaching me again, telling me that he's going to kill me and my family.
You believe in him?
I am now.
All right, why don't we run it? Is that when you approach him? Stop.
Yeah, I think you should probably go back, yeah.
Yep, why don't we go back? Start there.
So now he's approaching me again. Now I've decided the threat is real. Instead of going home, he's now approaching me again. I drew my firearm, and I fired at him.
All right. Did you even know, let's get straight with this. Did you even aim or anything like that?
To the best of my ability, I aimed at the object coming at me.
All right.
For the person, I choose the object person coming at me.
All right. And what do you see after you fire that first shot?
I see him go down.
We should start it up. And
Yes.
then what? Hold it.
Then I see there was a pause, kind of surprised by the whole thing that happened, you know. I kind of blanked out when I fired the first shot. Then it was like a flash of TV, the TV goes up, comes back on. I saw him getting up, heading towards my front steps. And then I fired again.
And it happened quick too.
Questions?
It said bang, 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 bang,
How
bang,
many
bang.
shots you fired and so forth. And we played this video, we played videos in slow motion and everything else.
Yes.
Would you agree things happened fairly quickly?
It happened extremely quickly.
Very fast.
Can you tell
Yeah.
the jury if you even remember pulling the trigger 5 more times?
I don't remember pulling the trigger the first time, and I don't remember hearing a gunshot. Any of them.
But I mean, obviously, you know you used the firearm.
Yes.
How did you come to the conclusion that 5 shots or 6 shots were fired?
I know that there was one in the chamber, 5 in the magazine, and when I was done, the slide was jacked, which would indicate that the firearm was empty.
And
Yeah, it's
that
not
tipped
like
off
he
the-
reloaded.
That is correct.
Why don't we play it through a little bit here?
I don't know. For me, if he had reloaded, if he had, and then again, then that would have been the issue. He just emptied the clip. He's like, man, you ain't about to hurt me.
You're going back, he's still moving?
Yep, I saw him crawling that way. I heard the female coming from over here. I noticed they did not go to my steps. So this time, I pay attention to what they're doing. They see another female coming. I go back to the truck to check on my daughter.
So you check on your daughter, and then what do you do?
Check on my daughter. I'm trying to process what all just happened. I get in the truck. Talk to her, and I said, I'm sorry. You have to see that. She says, no, you're just attacking me. I go to put the truck in drive, move into the driveway. She says to me, what are you doing? And I made a poor joke. Should we run? As I was driving in the driveway. It was no place to go, but at the time I was kind of in shock and I guess I used something to lighten the situation best.
It's understandable.
Stop it, and why don't you resume the...
He's of course he's telling the truth. It's on video. Kyle went over there. Nobody's denying that Kyle went over there. Nobody's denying that Kyle was the aggressor. What they're saying is, oh, he shouldn't have stopped him. Man, hell no, get out of here. Don't come in my yard threatening me or doing whatever. It's on video. They went nose to nose. Not they went to nose to nose. Jason was in his yard minding his own business, and Kyle went into his yard and went nose to him and said, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," whatever he said. And Jason and his family felt threatened. Case closed. Free that man.
They're all contained on exhibit 2, I believe.
It's 2 states, 2 that we're utilizing.
And this is the video
This will
shot from 43 Summer Street.
It'll indicate 43 Summers.
I just want to make that clear for the record. That's the tricky part we're all three
Yeah, it's on one exhibit. When you get back, there will be one flash drive. Thank you. And then there'll be 3 others. Thank you, Jim. So you get back into your driveway, and what do you do there?
Get back in my driveway. Again, when I got back in the truck, I ejected the magazine from the firearm, put them both on my dashboard.
And why did you do that?
Smart man.
What's that?
Why did you do that?
Because I knew that the police were coming. I wanted to make sure the firearm was safe. My daughter's in the
Smart.
vehicle. The police are coming. I don't want to have the firearm on me in case they get some kind of, mixed signal as to what's going on and happen to fire upon me. So I wanted to make sure the firearm was rendered safe at that time. I also had another magazine on me, which I put in the top pocket of my backpack.
All right, so you unloaded. You made the firearm safe. We heard it's a Glock 9mm semi-automatic pistol, correct?
There's a Glock 43 subcompact.
And by subcompact, but then the smaller version.
Absolutely, yes.
And you popped the magazine from it, right?
I ejected the magazine, that's correct.
Separated the magazine from the frame itself.
That is correct.
And then you placed them on the dash.
I did.
And then you had an additional magazine, and where was that located?
That was located in my pocket.
So you had more ammunition, more live ammunition on you.
That is correct.
And you took that, and where'd you put it?
I put it in the top pocket of my backpack. That way it was not resting with the gun. I didn't think it'd be a wise idea to put more live ammunition next to the gun, seeing as I was going to be exiting the vehicle. My daughter was left in there, and the police were coming.
Smart man.
Okay, so everything was made safe, and did you wait for the police to come?
I did.
Prior to the police coming, did you make any attempts to contact emergency personnel?
So I was in the process of dialing 911 when I saw in my rearview mirror, I saw blue lights coming. So at that point, I discontinued the call. I don't believe I even hit send on it, but I'm not sure.
Well, we heard your daughter testify the same thing. Did you actually have the phone out?
Oh, I had the phone in my hand. That's correct.
All right. Now the police come, and what do you do?
As soon as I see that the officers have exited their vehicles and they're behind my vehicle, I step out with my hands up, and I start walking to the back of the truck. When I get to approximately the back of the truck where the Salter is located, I have 2 officers, a male and a female. Both of them are directing me in 2 different ways. One is saying, get down on the ground. The other one is saying, walk towards me.
Okay, so at that point, you're a little bit confused?
I was a little confused, but again, they're both pointing a firearm at me, so I said, I can only listen to one of you. So whichever one of you would like to direct me, I will listen to. The female then stopped talking, and the male officer directed me to walk towards him with my hands above my head.
And did you do everything they asked you to do?
I did.
Did you make any statements to them in the driveway, before you even got officially over to the Rochester PD? What was going on?
I don't believe I did make any statement, or didn't say anything to them in the driveway. When I got into the police cruiser, I did apologize to whoever was sitting in the front seat. I don't know that it was an officer. I did apologize for having to come out that night and for the incident that transpired.
Again, we're talking now somewhere around 10:20ish in the evening when all this stuff starts breaking right in front of your house when you're actually picked up, placed in cruise.
That's correct.
And again, just to reiterate, any sleep between 8 a.m. in the morning the previous day and 10:20?
This is
No,
tough.
sir. Like I said, I clocked in at around 10 p.m. and I didn't take any breaks or anything. I was clocked in from 10 to 10, 24 hours straight.
This is a mess.
Now, the jury saw a film clip that we introduced in video that would have shown you being processed or actually transported to the Rochester Police Department.
That is correct.
You remember that ride?
Yes, I do.
How were you feeling at that point?
Well, I was feeling exhausted. By that time, when on my way
No
home, all I was
kidding.
hoping for was my bed. When you work that long, you start getting to the point where all you're thinking about is getting to a point to lay down.
Yeah.
So I was exhausted, and I was definitely a little frustrated that I wasn't going to lay down.
Joanna, can we approach you?
Yes, you may.
I've done that once in my career, and whew, it was terrible. Working that long, you just lose. Like, you don't even understand what your body's doing, where you're at. Fell asleep standing up. It's tough, man. Let me know what y'all think about this testimony so far. Everything's on video. Jason's just saying, hey, this is what happened. His daughter Kira said, this is what happened. Yikes.
Lunch break at some point. We're going to stop now, and we're going to take our hour lunch break. And so we'll be back here at 1 o'clock.
Okay, so they're taking a lunch break. We're going to skip ahead in the next video, in the next clip, because y'all will be able to see that. Again, let me know what you think about his testimony so far in the comments and in the chat. Interesting stuff. And do you think he's innocent or guilty? Here we go. I want to make sure I didn't miss any comments, and shout out to Melody C in here. She says, a brief search of newspaper articles says Kyle faced numerous charges after punching a guy and evading arrest in 2007. He crashed into the ice and almost drowned during the evasion, and they had to rescue him. Yeah, Kyle is a piece of work. She said, and Melody also says, so he's been unhinged for a while. I agree. Also, shout out to Karen here dropping the 5 bomb. What does she say? She says, this chat has definitely made my day a lot brighter. Thanks to the bunny. Y'all are the absolute hilarious. Shout out to Kara. Thank you for the love. And shout out to the emotional support bunny. You learn something new every day. Of course, he is not guilty. And if the jury doesn't see that, he needs to request a new trial. I think they're going to find him not guilty. This whole thing is absolutely wild. I had my body shut down on me. It was crazy. Tesla said it the same. Working for 24 hours is wild. You don't know what's happening. Definitely unhealthy for sure. Of course, he's not guilty. The bunny. Oh, I ate the bunny. Shout out to the VeggieTales gang in there. I see you, Amy. Let's go ahead and skip forward to Jason back on the stand. All right, here we go. So we had a little bit of a lunch break on Jason's previous testimony. We're going to get right back into his testimony for today and see if we can hear the rest of what happened, what went on.
Whatever you want to. I reviewed them, so.
You have issues?
Yeah, you have some, I think, misspoke on a couple things.
Judge, my hope is, if this is really going on for another hour.
I agree. Let's get to your testimony. Let's get through this. We'll have a chance at the end of the day to talk through your questions.
That's fine.
So it looks like we're getting close to the end, because they're talking about jury instructions here shortly. All right, we're going to skip ahead a little bit more. There we go.
I made her. You may. Thank you. Jason, let me backtrack just a bit. You recall getting to the police station?
I do.
And when you got to the police station, how would you describe your physical condition?
I was extremely tired. I was extremely shaken.
Were you in like the same condition then that you are like right now?
Definitely not. I am well rested, alert, and ready for today.
During the course of your interrogation with the police, you complained at a number of occasions of being hot or cold. Remember that?
I do.
What was going on there?
I was tired. I just gone through a lot. I started feeling a little bit dizzy when we were going up in the elevator. We got in the room. It was cold, then it was hot. I was extremely tired. I was definitely not with it, I guess you could say.
And you asked to rest a couple times?
Yes, that was the the one thing that was on my mind the most was trying to get some sleep. It was hard to stay awake, to say the least.
But how many times did you nod off?
I don't really remember how many times. I know there's a few times. I know I asked to lay down. I remember waking up on the floor in the interview room. Much past that, I don't remember a whole lot about the interview. I was extremely surprised yesterday to find out it went on for 3.5 hours.
You didn't even know it went on that long?
No, sir. I thought my best recollection would have been probably approximately an hour.
So when we were discussing the length of time that the interview took, that came as a surprise to you even yesterday?
Yes, it did. I don't know how I stayed awake that long.
What's going through your mind when you were discussing the situation with the police?
I was scared. A lot had just happened. I wasn't clear on a lot of the things. I was trying to process it and help them get through it so we could figure out exactly what happened, and that way I could get home and get some rest.
So basically, you went there, you were going to give them a statement, and you're thinking, well, then I'm going to go home and just go sleep.
Yes. That was my number one objective.
Now, during the course of the interrogation, you pointed out to the police that you had video cameras. Remember that?
I do.
And why'd you bring that up to them?
We were talking. We had talked about another time when I had talked about a video camera capturing something in my house, and they said, "Oh, you have cameras?" I said, "Yes, I do." And they asked if they could get them. I said, "Of course you can." I gave them the location of where they were at, and I gave them the password to access them.
So you actually gave them the location and password access to the digital material?
Yes, I did. I have 2 different hard drives. I have one in the garage, one in the house. I told them exactly where they were, and I told them the passwords for both of them.
Why did you want them to have that?
Because I was having a hard time clearly remembering all the events that transpired, and I knew that the videos would help clarify that for them.
And is that why you were sitting there for this interview to start with?
Absolutely.
Do you think you were in such a condition that night to give an accurate account of what took place?
I don't think so. I was extremely exhausted. Again, I was extremely surprised that I was awake for 3.5 hours at the police station. Well, I guess I wasn't awake the whole time. I did take a nap or two, I was told, but...
Yeah, he didn't know what was going on.
If I could, Your Honor, we'd like to show one more video, and then I'd like Jason to sit back for a few more questions, and then I'll wrap it up. I think this is one that will be marked, has been marked as Defendant B.
Should I step down to the
If
TV?
you could, so you could direct us to the TV. And again, this is a clip that will go back to the deliberation. I'll ask you questions, Jason, as we move along, if need be. Okay? Okay, why don't we stop?
I wish they would show us the full video. This kind of
video
thing.
is a slow motion video marked as Defendant B. And as we go through it, it may give us a better opportunity to make some identification. What do you see in this particular frame?
In this particular frame, I see this is my plow truck. This is the plow. This is still banking in front of 39 Summer Street. This is my driveway right here. This is the bush that's in the landscaping at the front left of my property. It looks like this is Kyle right here. I believe it's kind of paused the fuzzy rain. And I'm going to have to guess, you can see myself right now, I'm right there, walking the house.
Okay, so you're actually bent down at that point in time?
I'm guessing so because I don't see myself in the frame, but I don't know how we got to this particular point. If we can start.
Yeah, we can go right back to the beginning.
Okay.
Go right back. Okay, here we go. Okay, hold it.
There's my header. So I'm hammering down the hub and that's pile of pushing right there.
Okay, so you're actually in a position where you're kneeling or crouching down, and he is erect and walking toward you.
That's correct. From looking at this, it looks like my view is partially probably blocked by the flowers there.
Okay, yeah, you got that wing flower.
Right.
Okay, why don't we get going? And
Now I'm
stop.
standing up.
Right there. Okay, is that the first time you're eyeball to eyeball with him?
Yes, it is. That's myself, my face, and that's my lip right there.
Is he saying anything to you at that point in time?
I believe he has already said to me something about if you plow snow.
Yeah, it's worse. We're never gonna get to see.
Okay, so this is the
We're never gonna
first
get to see the video.
Initial threat, right?
That's correct.
Why don't we continue?
He
Stop.
approached me. Oh, right
What's
there.
going on there?
Oh, now it looks like we're kissing, but that's me. That's standing where face to face. His nose is touching my face, and he's expressing to me how.
Man, we want to see it.
My
Dang.
family for plowing snow.
Is that making any sense at all to you at that
No,
point?
it's going very fast. He's saying he's very animated. He's very upset.
Again, you and I did a little courtroom demonstration. It wasn't perfect, I'm sorry, I'm vertically challenged, you know. But the bottom line is that this guy, he's about 6 foot or something, about your size.
Yes, I'd say probably exactly the same.
And he's literally got part of his face literally on your face at this point.
That is correct.
And he's shouting threats.
That is correct.
How you feeling there?
Scared?
Keep going.
Then
He
moves.
backs off a little bit.
And then he points again. If you plow snow in my fucking driveway, I'll kill you and your fucking family.
Right, now he's walking away a little.
Yeah.
Then what?
Now he's saying you don't believe me. You don't fucking believe me. I'll kill you and your family.
Okay, that's when he says, stop. That's when he says, you don't believe me? You don't fucking believe me? I'll kill you and your family.
That's correct.
Didn't say anything about snow that time, did he?
No.
Now what? Now hold on, stop right there. Did you pull a firearm on him or anything at that point?
No, I did not.
Did you make any aggressive movement toward him at that point?
I did not. I didn't speak either. I still froze.
Now I know this is in slow motion. What's your estimate of how long that interaction actually took?
It was quick.
Maybe 2 seconds, 5 seconds.
Why don't we keep going? He's walking back now.
Yeah, now he's walking away.
Yeah. Keep going. Now what? What's he doing there? Stop.
Again, he's pointing. If you put snow in my driveway, I'm going to kill you and your family.
All right, so he's making that threat again.
That's correct.
Keep going. No making arm gestures. Stop.
Yeah, I'm going to kill you and your family.
How many times do you think he said something like that?
What did you do?
Keep going. Okay. Pointing again.
You don't believe me?
He said what?
You don't believe me?
Now what? Go.
Now he's walking away.
Right.
He's moving. He's
Now
saying,
what?
I'm not exactly sure if he's saying something at that point, but he turned back around towards me. You can see him coming towards me.
Right.
Pulled my firearm, and I shot.
Thank you. Should resume the scene.
Man, it's on video, man. He started coming back towards him. Nah. Nope. No. Nope. Nope. You can't can't defend this, man. Can't defend it. And I'm just going to assume at this point, the biggest question for me, again, we haven't heard from the prosecutors yet. The biggest question is, was he legally allowed to have the firearm? Because it's been mentioned before that he had some priors that maybe would have not allowed him to have a firearm. Hasn't been brought up by the prosecutors yet. And it seems like that would be a big part of this case if it were true. So if he's allowed to have the firearm, this is open and shut to me.
So, right before you pulled the firearm and pulled the trigger for the first time, he had walked away some distance.
He did.
And then all of a sudden he turned around.
He did.
He
was
turned
walking
around and
toward
came
you.
back. Dummy.
He was.
Do you know why?
I'm assuming that he wanted to play out his threat. I mean, he was coming back at me. That was my assumption.
And by the time he had come by for that last time, he had come after you how many times in your best estimation?
5 or 6.
I think they asked you in your interview whether you had aimed for any particular spot on his body.
I believe they might have. I'd have to reference the interview, but
I believe it was a question they asked.
But I mean, right now, is your best recollection, were you taking aim at any specific part of his body?
No.
What was going through your mind? What were you trying to do?
I was just trying to neutralize the threat. The person who was coming at me, threatening me, I just wanted to stop the threat. I wanted to protect myself and my family.
I saw in that first video, not this one, but the first video, that once you got hit, you got down on the ground and you were scrambling around.
I did see that.
What was going through your mind then, if you can recall?
Again, what was going through my mind, what I can remember at that time, was it's like the TV shut off, then it came back on in a flash where I saw him on the ground, getting up on all fours and starting towards my front steps.
And that's when you discharged the firearm again?
That's when I discharged the firearm again.
Before I ask the next couple of questions, I just want to make sure a solid foundation here. Some folks have been in the service and have had actual combat experiences. Are you one of those kind of people?
No, sir.
Some folks, fortunately,
He didn't know what was going to happen.
have been engaged in actual combat situations where they had to discharge firearms at other human beings and strike them. Were you ever in that kind of situation before?
No, sir.
Thank you for your service, Jason.
Some folks actually are avid hunters and they discharge firearms and they've shot game. Have you ever shot even like a chipmunk in your life?
No, sir.
And he must have been training because some pretty good shots.
Yes, it was.
Is this the first time you discharged a firearm and struck a living, breathing being? You know?
Yes, it was.
Did you ever think you'd be in that kind of situation on April 4th, 2024?
No, I didn't.
Do you think about it a lot?
Every day. Sorry.
Kyle put him in that position, man.
Did you ever that day ever think you'd ever hurt somebody as badly as you did?
No.
Let me ask you some bottom line questions and then let me go, okay?
Okay.
Prosecutor can ask all the questions you want. Did you go out there that night to try to kill Kyle Violet?
No, I didn't.
He was minding his business.
I wish he would have just gone home when he first started walking that way.
Were you trying to inflict serious bodily injury on him or bodily injury at any point in time? Is that your intent?
No, it wasn't. I just didn't want him to hurt me or my family.
Free Jason, man.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right, there it is. That is the first questioning we heard from the defense of Jason Levesque. What do y'all think about this? Oh my goodness. I mean, he pointed it out straightforward, easy, simple, to the point. I was minding my own business. My daughter was in the car. This hothead walks over across the street, not even across the street, comes into my yard and says, "Hey, if you put snow in my yard," I'm like, and Jason's just like, "What? Oh, you don't believe me? All right." Turns and leaves. Then he turns around and starts going back towards Jason. Jason does what he has to do. Nah, man, this is what the laws are in place to protect people from. Can't do that, Kyle. And he paid the price. Lucky or unlucky for him, he didn't pay the ultimate price. I don't know what much the prosecutor can ask here.
Mr. Levesque, it's certainly obvious by now, but I think I already did an introduction. My name is Dr. Clark. I do have questions about some of the things you heard, some of the things you did, and a number of the claims you've made, both to the police and today. Those will be the areas of my questions.
Absolutely.
But before we get into what happened on the 4th and the facts of this case, you brought up with your lawyer a prior incident that I want to talk about. You've made this claim today that 6 months before this happened, back in October of the previous year, you had an incident out in front of your house.
Somewhere between October and November, that's correct.
Approximately 6 months before this happened.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Just to be clear, you indicated today that was this person out in front of your house was Kyle, right?
That is correct.
But here's one of the questions I have, is that when you were meeting with the police on the 4th and the 5th, you said you'd never seen Kyle before that date back in October, right?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
But you also said on the 4th that you couldn't even pick him out of a lineup, right?
I'd have to look at the transcript.
Sure. Judge Ready approach? I'm going to show you what's been marked as a State's Exhibit 29.
Sure.
And I'm going to direct your attention to page 143, line 9.
Give me just a moment.
Yeah.
Page 143, line what?
Yeah, so let's start at line 5. You say, look, this is to the Detective Garson, line 2. You don't even know his name? No clue. And you go on to say, I've never had an interaction with him at all, ever, in my life. And you went on to say at line 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And this is on April 4th. I wouldn't be able to pick, if you said, here's 3 people, pick one of them as your neighbor. I honestly wouldn't be able to pick him. Never seen him before. And so on the 4th, you couldn't pick out from 3 photos, Kyle, Violet, but you're claiming there was some incident 6 months earlier involving Kyle.
What?
Yeah?
That is correct. I also claimed I was surprised I was awake at that time.
Pardon me?
At this time at the interview at page 143?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised I was even awake at that time.
Okay, so your explanation for explaining to the detective that you wouldn't even be able to recognize Kyle is that you were tired then.
I'm guessing I don't remember this conversation. However, if it's there, then I said it.
Okay, and it's true you didn't have any prior interactions with Kyle.
Before October, November? No, I did not.
And so you said that, but that might be one of your tired statements.
Yes.
Okay. You also just claimed to this jury that, it was this prior incident where he said I'm a rat and he threatened me, that caused you to get your video cameras. That's what you told the police. Excuse me, that's what you told this jury today, correct?
Yes, some of them, that's correct.
What?
Some of them, yes, that's correct. I've had previous video cameras, but the ones that they obtained, that's when I got them.
So how many more did you have and when did you have?
Before, I was trying out different Wi-Fi cameras,
Yep.
particularly Ys. I had an issue with internet where they didn't connect all the time, so I went to closed circuit setup.
Okay. Just to be clear, you did not claim to the police, it was this prior incident that prompted me to get videos. You just referred to having videos, but back in July of 2023. That would be before the supposed incident next door.
That is correct. That's when I had the Ys cameras.
Okay. But that's not something you teased out with the police. You agree with me?
It's
There was a lot
not
going on
great
that evening
PR
that-
for
that
Wise
maybe
right
things
here.
I didn't think were important at the time.
Okay. So this is just another incident where you didn't make a complete answer that might have been, important to understand whether you really did react to a real threat in October.
I'm not sure what you're saying, but
What I'm asking is, look, you
It wasn't really a
explained
question.
to the police that you had video back in July of the previous year, correct?
that is correct from a Ys camera.
And now you're claiming to the jury, oh, I got video after the incident in October, correct?
I did, because I was having trouble with the other system, so I got a closed circuit system.
And claiming that you reacted to this prior incident by getting more video is never something that you told the police, correct?
I don't recall if I told them that or not.
That's fair. This isn't important to me.
In fact, talking about this prior claim,
As a juror, it's not important to me.
you even told the police, look, it was because of this so-called prior threat that you started carrying your firearm.
Again, if you'd like to refer to what page that's on.
No problem. It is page 100, line 22, 23. Page 100.
And just,
Line 23, you say, ever since that day, and the so-called prior threat, that day that he threatened me, I don't leave the house without it. And Garson asked you, had you carried prior to that day of the so-called threat? And you said, no, not really.
again, I don't remember saying that, but obviously if it's there, I must have said it.
Well, not remember saying it now. You agree doesn't mean that was your claim to police, right? You did claim that to the police.
If it's in there, then yes, I
All
did.
right. And so what you didn't say is, oh, you know, I actually started, you didn't admit that you had actually started carrying a firearm well before any so-called encounter in front of your porch. It was the machete incident.
That is why. Again, the evening that this took place,
Yeah,
I was not in the best state of mind.
understood.
Okay.
But you'd agree with me that you made it sound like there was a
Can't
prior
discredit
incident
this
that
witness,
caused you
man.
to take precautions like carrying a firearm, and that's not true.
The prior incident with Mr. Violet, or the
Yeah.
prior incident at Home Depot,
With Mr. Violet.
that was not the reason why I was carrying it.
Right, but that's what you told police. You made that claim.
I did in that, yes.
You made the claim that the reason you got video was the prior incident from Mr. Violet. But that's not true either, right? You had video.
I'm not sure what you're saying right at the moment.
You claimed to this jury that the reason you went out and got video is this so-called prior threat. Remember saying that on direct?
I do. That is
Surveillance
why
cameras, you
I
mean?
got the current video equipment that I have.
Okay. Your explanation to the police was you'd already had it, and then when we were having this conversation, the reason you got it was because you were having Wi-Fi trouble.
Could you reference where here I told them I got it for that?
No, I'm just saying that you referenced it in July, which necessarily means it was before you had a incident, so-called incident with Mr. Violet in October.
In July, I did have Wi-Fi video cameras on my property.
I don't know what he's trying to get at.
You claim that this prior incident with the machete, while you're on the job, resulted in you calling 911, correct?
Actually, no. My manager, Mike Kelly, called 911.
Okay. You reported it to somebody.
That is correct.
And did he tell you he was calling 911?
Yes, he did.
And you certainly concurred with that.
That's correct.
Because you'd call 911 if something really did happen to you that you found threatening and violent and inappropriate, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But to be clear, you've never claimed that you called 911 or anyone else after this supposed incident with Mr. Violet 6 months before this event.
That is correct.
Yeah. You claimed to the jury that it was such a threat that you were concerned about your daughter, so much so that you had to supposedly escort her, but this threat wasn't serious enough to call 911.
Again, I didn't want to engage with him, and I didn't want to have the police come and then nothing happen, and then I have to deal with him later.
All right, so you
didn't want any
That
problems.
was good enough to call. Here, the supposed threat to your daughter wasn't enough to provoke you to call the phone, call the police and say, we need to work something out here to
No,
mitigate risk about your daughter, right? Correct?
It's not working.
At that time, I decided it was not the appropriate action. I didn't want to enrage him in case something else happened.
And just to be clear, your claim about this prior incident in October, November.
Let's be clear. I get what the prosecutor's point is, but I think most people in this situation are not going to call 911 because their neighbor yelled at them initially. I get the point he's trying to make, but looking at this as a juror, it wouldn't make a difference to me. It's like, And no one was going to call the police and say, oh, especially as a man. Oh, my neighbor yelled at me. He said I was pushing the snow. Can y'all come up here and get him? Come on. Yeah, maybe he's a hothead, but he's not saying I'm going to, you know what, you and your family. That's something different. Come on now. You can do better than that, prosecutor.
A guy that you couldn't pick out of a lineup, and after hearing him outside in front of your place, you went inside to your home.
I went inside to my parents, yes.
You did not see where this man went, correct?
No, I did not.
And concerning, Mr. Violet, just to be clear, that this guy calls you a rat. You had never called the police for any reason on Mr.
Calling
Violet,
somebody a
right?
rat isn't a threat.
That's correct.
And so this guy makes this claim, you can't pick this guy out of a lineup, and you go inside and the guy leaves. Concerning Mr. Violet, after that supposed incident in October,
Mr. Violent.
you can confirm that there were just no other incidents or contacts you had with Mr. Violet up until April 4th, correct?
That is correct.
You said, I might have seen him emptying his trash or something, right?
Yes?
But in other respects, there was no additional contacts, innocuous or otherwise, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And so that, I guess, brings us forward. Your claim that there was a threat 6 months earlier, nothing happened after that with this person outside.
That is correct.
And so now let's talk about the incident, okay?
Sure.
It sounds like there's really no dispute. I mean, we've seen it on 4 different camera angles. You just walked through it. You came home after picking up your daughter at work.
That's correct.
You took, 3 runs towards Mr. Violet's home at 43.
That's correct.
And you would explain to the police, your perception of that event was,
It's not his
pretty basic,
perception. He was
I
there.
believe so.
Right? And so this is an area that I want to get into, but the sequence of events. But let's start at the very end, because I want to revisit something you said. You got into your truck after shooting Kyle, right?
That is correct.
And your claim is you got into the truck and pulled into your driveway, and you made a joke.
I did.
Your claim to this jury is you made a joke to your daughter, 19 at the time.
Yes.
Should I run?
Yes.
And you suggest to the jury, to this court, that was to make light of the whole situation?
Yes.
To lighten the mood, yes.
At that very moment, Kyle is 30 feet from you, dying in the street. Yeah?
That is correct.
And you want to lighten the moment is your claim? Isn't it true that
He should have left
even
that
in
out.
your state, you were struggling with the basic notion of what you had just done?
That is correct.
You told the police, let me just make sure I'm accurate with this, at 20. Line 5. This is in the after the fact.
Sorry, I missed the page. What was the page
Yeah,
number?
20, line 5.
On what
You're
page?
What?
What page?
20, line 5.
Oh, 25, sorry.
No, my fault.
Oh,
Page
sure.
20, line 5.
Thank you.
You're talking to Garston, and you say, thinking back, and you're looking back on shooting him, and you say, I made a bad decision. And you struggle with it. I don't know if I made a bad decision. This is the moment and the issue you're claiming you made light of?
That's correct.
You start by apologizing. You're saying, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And isn't it true that not in a light, frivolous effort to lighten the mood, you were really concerned that you'd made a very bad decision, and you asked her whether you should run?
I was not looking for guidance in that. Like I said, it was an ill-made joke.
And she
I was not-
responded to you, didn't she? She said, not, ha ha ha, that's a good one, Dad. She said, no, you shouldn't run, in a very serious.
That's correct.
And you responded again and said, well, what should I do? That wasn't a joke, right?
I don't remember that.
You're not saying it didn't happen.
I don't recall.
You recall talking to Kira.
I do recall talking to Kira.
And you're saying you don't remember saying, to your question, well, what should I do? You should stay. This is your path. I don't know what you should do, but this is your path. Remember that?
I do not remember those words, no.
He probably wasn't hearing anything at that point.
Mr. Levesque, isn't it just
He said,
true?
well, I'm going to
I
jail.
mean, as a matter of common sense, you asked Kira whether you should run because you knew what you did was wrong and you didn't want to face the consequences of it.
That is incorrect.
He's been in jail for a year. Come on, man. Give me a second, y'all.
Then let's return to your plowing. You had told the police that you moved the snow into the front part of the driveway of my neighbor, where my neighbor's grass is, and then backed up, correct?
That is correct.
And look, I don't want to make too much of the snow thing, but you would just describe to the jury just not having any basis to even understand what Kyle was saying about not moving snow, correct?
I was referencing 39 Summer Street.
Okay. And so you can confirm, though, after the, quote, first snowstorm of that year, Kyle had approached you about putting snow on his property, and the response was, hey, something to the effect of, look, it'll melt.
That's incorrect. I've never had a discussion with Kyle before that evening about snow.
Did somebody else, do you know whether anybody else in your family did?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Like Kira?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. So your claim is that there hadn't been any discussions about where snow was to be deposited or not, right?
Could you be a little more clear about exactly what you're talking about and when?
Yeah, at any time prior to this night, there hadn't been any discussions, any disputes about where you put snow with respect to Kyle's property.
With Kyle?
Yeah.
Not with Kyle, no.
There had been this issue that you brought up about snow next to your maple tree.
That is correct. Not with Kyle.
Okay. But it happens that Kyle came out while you were, we can agree, still in the middle of this plowing operation.
That is correct.
Okay. You described to the police and to the jury getting out of your truck to manually adjust the hub so it went into four-wheel,
Yes.
and that you were going to back drag the snow out.
That is correct.
Wherever you were going to put that snow had just not yet happened, correct?
I hadn't even backdragged the snow yet.
So it hadn't happened yet.
That's
Wherever
correct.
you were going to put it hadn't happened yet.
That's correct.
And here's the next thing that happens. You actually see Kyle coming out of his driveway, correct?
I saw Kyle approaching at some point.
Well, he was in his driveway, correct?
I'm not exactly sure at what point it was.
Why don't you turn to page 34, line 4. Got it?
I do.
And you explained to Officer Garston you are manually locking his hubs, they're electric, so I gotta have to do that. And quote, that's when he came up the driveway.
That is correct.
So you saw him from, I don't know, 40 feet away at the first instance.
That's what that says.
What?
That's what that says. I don't remember that, but that's what that says.
I'm sorry, you don't remember the first time seeing Kyle?
I do not remember seeing him in the driveway.
All right, you can confirm for the jury that you went on to describe corroborated details, like down at the bottom of page 34. Yeah, there I saw him come from. When I finally see him coming out of the driveway, you say again, that's when you see him, right?
It does say that. And
You even describe what he's doing. He's putting on his shirt.
Yes, I do.
He was shirtless, so he was putting on his shirt.
Yes, I do. You asked me if I remembered that. I do not remember that. However, yes, I did state that.
Then I guess there's this tension of you being tired that night with the issue of memory. You agree with me that's much closer in time to these events than your testimony today?
Yes, it was.
You agree with me that that is a responsive statement to the officer, well, when did you see him? Yeah?
Yes.
You agree with me that that's a detailed statement about where you saw him and what his actions were?
I was doing my best to try and piece together what I remembered.
You did a good job. I mean, it's corroborated that he was coming out of his driveway putting his shirt on, right?
Yes, we saw the video. Yes, he was.
And so you'd agree with me. You got that one right.
Yes.
And so he's coming out of his driveway. You see him from this some 40 feet away. And just to confirm, you can see his hands, correct?
I don't remember.
Didn't see any weapons, correct?
Again, no, I did not see any weapons.
And as he's approaching that distance between his driveway when you first see him, you don't actually remember or know what he was saying, if anything, correct?
Sorry, could you ask me the question one more time?
Yeah, as he's approaching from the driveway, you don't actually know what he was saying, if anything, correct?
In the very beginning, I'm not sure if he had been yelling or what he had been saying. It wasn't until he was up closer to me that I had really started understanding what he was saying.
Okay, so when he's walking over, you're not claiming that he said anything at that point, correct?
I don't believe so, no.
You could hear a noise coming. You realized he's coming because you saw him.
I believe so.
And you actually described not only him putting on his shirt, but consistent with what we see on the video, you described that he was coming at a fairly fast pace.
Yes.
You confirmed to officers that as he's walking over, you could actually see his hands.
Yes.
They asked you details about that observations, and you claimed you were able to describe that as his hands appeared to be clenched.
When I did notice him and he was close to me, yes, I did.
Actually, this is on the way over. And you confirmed that you didn't see any weapons.
I did not see any weapons.
You confirmed that he never moved towards your daughter.
He did not move towards my daughter.
You can confirm that at no point did he make a claim or a threat that he was actually armed.
He did not make a claim or threat he was actually armed.
For example, if you move that snow, I will stab you with a knife that I have on me.
He never made that claim.
Or a screwdriver.
No.
And here's what we can, now get into this first chapter of when he actually reaches you. You stand up, correct?
That's correct.
This is after you making observations of his pace, of him putting stuff on and not holding anything, correct?
That is correct.
And your claim is that what he says is, if you put that fucking snow at the end of my fucking driveway, I'm going to kill you and your fucking family.
That is correct.
And you explain to the officers, look, this is not a memory issue, this isn't a sleep issue, that's exactly what he said.
That is correct.
And on this point, you're not confused or lacking any memory, correct?
That is correct.
You use the term verbatim, that means word for word, right?
That is correct.
And even at this point, where he's close to the truck, he doesn't make any gesture, any recognition that there's anybody, including your daughter, in the actual vehicle, correct?
No, he does not.
He doesn't reference your daughter specifically, correct?
That is correct.
He doesn't reference her name, right?
That is correct.
And this is the point where you're, quote, nose to nose.
Nose to cheek.
Cheek to cheek. And you say at this point, while you're face to face, nose to nose, you step back a little, you step forward, you step back, but kind of within that, I don't know, arm's length distance, correct?
That is correct.
You claim that he repeated, if you put the fucking snow in front of the house again, I'll fucking kill you.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's twice where he's referred to you needing to do something in the future for him to do something, correct?
That is correct.
And then he walks away, correct?
That is correct.
And now there's a distance of 15, 20 feet between the two of you, right?
I believe so. I believe there was another interaction before he walked that far away. If you'd like to reference the video on this, it'd be helpful.
And you described to police officers the threats that were made about moving snow when you were face to face.
That is correct.
He then moves away from you, and you told the officers that, you know, I don't know if he repeated it again before he walked off, but he walked off, and then you described what he said. It's page 43, line 19. Got it?
Line 19.
Yeah, you said to the officers, you know, then he walked, I don't know if he repeated it again after those 2 times. And then for some reason he stopped, turned around, was walking away and said, and this is what you told officers, you don't fucking believe me, right?
That's correct.
Just to be clear, you said that also at page 20. Lines 3 and 4. Oops. Sorry about that. Lines 3 and 4. You described it. You know how the detective looped back, you know, asked you about a situation. So on line,
Yes.
at page 20, you said again, he started to walk off, then he turned around again, and he's like, you don't fucking believe me.
That's correct.
All right, so 2 instances where you explained to the police what Mr. Violet supposedly said about, you don't believe me.
That's
In
correct.
neither of those claims to the police, do you say he added, just independently, I'm going to fucking kill you, right?
Not right there, but I think if we look further in it, you'll find that I did include that.
Absolutely, you don't look anywhere, because every single time you describe him actually making a threat, it's conditional.
That is incorrect.
Well, you have told the jury what he said was, you don't believe me? I'm going to fucking kill you. Right?
That's correct.
Unconditional threat.
Correct.
Problem is, you described to the police twice, not once, but twice,
Yeah.
this claim that he turned around and said, what, you don't believe me? And never once said he made an independent threat. Not once.
I don't know. I haven't looked through the whole thing, but I can assure you that he did say it.
You just didn't tell the police about it.
I don't know. I haven't looked through this whole transcript, but I can tell you he did say it, and I'm pretty sure it's probably in there. I've not looked through every page of it.
You're welcome to do that, but you agree with me, these are 2 instances where you specifically bring up that moment where he said you don't believe me. And he did not add a standalone threat.
No, you're absolutely right. I didn't add that. Again, I was not completely coherent, awake, or remembering everything that was going on. I was doing my best to try and piece this together with them.
You described him having walked away. He gestures to the snow in front of your place. You agree that he's saying, don't move that over to my place, correct?
I believe so. Again, if you'd like to bring the video up and you want to talk about it, I'd have a better understanding of what point we're talking about.
You don't recall, you just described him walking away, correct?
Which he did multiple times, yes.
He actually walks away once, and then he turns back towards you, and that's the moment I want to talk about.
The first time, when because he was up close to me, he walked a few steps back and then came back to me again.
Okay.
Are we talking about that time?
Yeah, no, that's the incident in front of the Plow. Now when he walks, as I think I mentioned, probably 15 or 20 feet away.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same
Got that?
Yeah,
Fair?
that's fair.
And at that point, you say he stopped, turned, and walked back towards you.
That is correct.
He took a couple of steps towards you.
I believe so, yes.
And you then, at this point, brandished and produced and pointed the firearm.
That is correct.
And you actually closed the gap. You walked towards him with the firearm.
That is correct.
You made the claim to the police that you didn't walk towards him, but that wasn't true, right?
After seeing the video, that is what happened.
Okay.
Again, I was tired.
Yeah.
I was doing my best to help them.
Got it. So this is another mistake where it sort of helps your self-defense claim. You claim to the police, I didn't walk towards him, but in fact you did, correct?
I did, correct.
And let's just be clear about this. We've all been here to watch this video, these videos, repeatedly, right?
Yes.
And You describe him having walked back to the front of his house and then turned and came back towards you. You drew
That
your
is incorrect.
firearm.
That is incorrect. He never walked to the front of his house. He never left the front of my house.
Okay, to the front of your house.
I mean, that's a big deal. It's a big difference. It's two different properties.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank
You're
you.
right. So he makes it, as I think I previously said, about 15 or 20 feet away
That is correct.
and turns around. And you agreed that you pull out the gun and you point it at him.
That is correct.
You're walking towards him.
That is correct.
But here's where things diverge in terms of what claims you've made. You made the claim to the police that when you pulled out the firearm, he actually hastened his pace towards you. Your words, right?
Again, I don't remember clearly what I said that night, and my memory of what happened was starting to piece things together.
Well, if
It
you
was not a
remember-
clear image.
Okay. If you don't remember what you said that night, let's turn to page 48. Line 10, line 9. When he started coming back at me again, I went and drew my firearm and I pointed at it. Are we clear on that?
Absolutely. Anything that's in here, I said.
Yeah. Even being tired, you remember that, correct?
Do I remember saying it?
Yeah.
No, I do not remember saying it.
Being tired, or now, do you remember that?
I do not remember saying that when I was tired.
Do you remember that happening?
Me drawing the firearm at him? Yes, I do.
Okay. And then you claimed to officers that at that
Thank
point,
you.
that's when he came at me. He was coming back at me like he was ready to go.
That is correct.
You said he approached you after you drew the firearm to within 3 feet of you.
No, I might have said that then. Again, I didn't have a clear memory of it. After looking at the video, he was not within 3 feet of me.
After you pulled the firearm, you claim his hand was in...
I'm sorry, further 3 feet.
Well, I'll get to
Give
it.
me the line.
Is there an objection? Your Honor?
Yeah, the objection.
What's that?
The objection.
Well, I'll...
Thank you, Derek. I
give him an
appreciate you.
opportunity. I have no objection to redirect, and I'd like to come back to that.
I will redirect and you'll ask him to withdraw the 3 feet quote unless I can get a page line. I have a page of line number for a approximate distance. It's not 3 feet. I guarantee that.
Sure. Let's move from this issue of what you observed him doing once you drew the firearm. Okay.
Okay.
You claim that he, as you just said, he was coming back at me like he was ready to go.
That is correct.
And like before, he was kind of, he handed a fist. Now he was coming at me like he was going to attack me, or he was going to take the gun.
That is correct.
And that you claim happened after you drew the firearm.
That is correct.
You explained to the officer, he was asking, can you be more specific? And you said, well, you can just tell if somebody's going to attack you, right?
I would believe that's a reasonable assumption.
And you said that his hands were clenched in a fist, but he didn't have any weapon, correct?
That is correct.
Yep. I believe Jason's going to be the last
And you
witness.
claim
We'll
that
see.
after drawing the gun, he kept coming at you at a pretty fast pace.
That's what I remembered at that time.
In fact, you claim that he actually quickened his pace once the firearm came out.
Again, that's what I remembered at that time, according to that statement.
And you said that you could see the look in his eye, and that's when you knew you had to shoot him.
That is correct.
Here's the problem. You've just been referring to the videotape.
Yeah.
When you drew the gun before you fired, Kyle Violet stopped. He didn't quicken his pace, did he? You've seen the video.
After my gun was drawn, and
He
just
was there.
milliseconds before I pulled the trigger, yes, he did turn.
Not even milliseconds. You drew the gun back almost at the plow. You closed the distance by some 1, 2, 3 feet. And during that time, you turned away from me.
During that time, he was still approaching me. If you'd like to reference the video, I'd be more than happy.
We will. Totally in evidence. Your claim is he was bum rushing you.
He said, nah, we're good.
Never used the word bum rush. I don't even know what it means.
Did you see the video where, like at the evergreen tree, he stops and turns away, well before you fire the gun?
Again, I don't have a clear time reference, but I know it was extremely quick.
Did you see the video when Detective Daney was actually looking at frame by frame, and he says his feet are turned all the way 90 degrees before the shot went off?
I did hear his testimony, and yes, I did hear him say that.
Did you see the video? You were standing right here.
I did see the video.
And he was not facing you when you had the gun out.
When I fired, no, he was not facing me. However, like I said, the time, I don't know. Things move very quickly.
It
We
doesn't matter.
actually have real time in this video. So, I mean, the jury can count the seconds that went by after you took out the firearm. And they
Yeah,
can make
play
the
the video.
determination whether Kyle stopped and how much you advanced on him pointing the weapon.
Sure. I welcome it.
You had been asked about your familiarity with this firearm. You actually took it to the range, correct?
That's correct.
Used to take Kira to the range.
That's correct.
You knew full well what this firearm was capable of doing.
That's correct.
And so, as he stops and turns, unarmed, you fired at him.
I did not see him turn. When I drew my firearm, it kind of all went blank.
Pardon me?
When I drew my firearm and I fired it,
Yeah.
it was blacked out. I don't remember.
You were blacked out?
I don't have a conscious memory of what happened.
You told the officers that that's when you pulled the trigger.
You're absolutely, that is what I said in that statement. And again, I'll tell you, I was tired. I was doing my best to try and piece together the information I had.
You told the officers that you ultimately pulled the trigger 6 times, correct?
That is correct.
You didn't say, you know, I counted up the rounds afterwards, whether they're, and then I discovered it was empty.
He
You
emptied the
described
clip.
Pulling the trigger and then emptying rounds. That was a conscious thought and statement you made on the 4th.
It did make that statement. I never said that I remember pulling the trigger that many times. I knew that I pulled the trigger that many times after I accounted for the bullets that were missing from the magazine.
Can you just turn to page 54?
Absolutely.
Line 11. This is after you pulled out the gun, Garstin asks, so you start walking, he starts walking towards you? What happens next? As soon as I saw that look in his eye, I knew I had to protect my family, and I pulled the trigger. Yeah?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. You seem to have a memory of it there. You didn't stop and explain, no, I was kind of blacked out. I only inferred that I pulled the trigger. In fact, he asked, how many times did you pull the trigger? He said 6. So you fully emptied it? Yeah.
That's correct.
And you actually go on to describe. So the first one that I first shot.
Now the jury knows what's up.
Again, I don't have a clear memory of what I told the officer. I know that I was blacked out at the time.
Come
I was
on,
trying
man.
to put together what I did
Dang.
have for information to try and help him.
Pardon me? What was that last part?
I was trying to put together the information I had to help him.
And you put together these details about Kyle responding to you taking out a gun with anger and aggression. Yeah?
That's correct.
That's your claim of what happened after you pulled out the gun?
That is correct.
You claimed, you put together these details about Kyle advancing towards you, quickening his pace after you pulled out the firearm?
That is what I said in the statement. That's correct.
But it's not true, is it?
It's not what I saw in the video,
Yeah.
but this is what I remembered at the time. That is correct.
It's the claim you made, but you know it's not true, correct?
Like I said, what I saw in the video
Yeah.
is what I explained to you. What I saw here is what I was trying to remember.
Okay,
I was
let's just
extremely tired.
let's just be clear about this. What happened in the video is true, correct?
Absolutely.
What you claimed happened is not, correct?
Sure.
Right?
Yes, what is here does not seem to be what appears in the video.
That was a lie, what you told to the police.
No, that was me not remembering. Again, I was extremely tired. I was doing my best to help him.
It doesn't matter. They've seen the video. They know what happened. This isn't working.
Recess, just to stretch our legs, use the facilities. We'll come back here around 5 minutes again, so we can continue on. Okay? Very good.
We advise
No, we got a great connection here. So it looks like they take a short recess. When are we gonna come back? Let me see here. Before we skip ahead, y'all let me know what you think about this so far. How's the prosecutor doing? Is he doing a good job discrediting this witness and his story? Jason made it very clear he was tired, he was exhausted, he didn't remember what happened, he blacked out, he was traumatized and shocked. It's pretty easy to explain, but he seems to be keying in on this. The jury has seen the video. They're going to be able to make a determination. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Wow. Yeah, y'all are saying he didn't do a good job. I don't know. He's trying to make it. He's trying to make the glove fit, but I don't think it's going to happen in this case. Let me see if we can skip forward a little bit. How much time we got left? All right, we got a little bit more time. Here we go. Get Jason back up there.
You said you pointed the firearm at him, and Mr. Violet continued to come at you at a fast pace.
I believe that's what I said there. That is correct.
So it's what you said, and you agreed that that is not what is depicted on the video.
I do not believe I saw him approaching at a fast pace in the video. That's correct.
But just this distance piece, you claim that when you brought out the firearm, and this is at 49, line 21, that he was at 10 feet away. Correct?
Yes, that is what I said.
But that's the point you claimed when you brought out the firearm, and then you said he continued to close the distance by walking rapidly at you.
Where's that?
What's that?
Where is that?
That's what we were just talking about. First of all, you established about a 10-foot distance from when you pulled out the firearm, but you claimed to the police and to this jury that he continued to walk towards you, right?
I claimed that right there when I watched the video.
Nope, not right there. Repeatedly to the officer. You can see that at 48, line 13 or 14. He was coming back at me like he was ready to go after you drew the firearm. That's at 14, line 13.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so if we combine that at 49, you said it's 10 feet that you brought out the firearm, and he continued to walk it towards you at a very rapid rate before you fired it. He's about 3 to 5 feet away, according to your claim, to the police.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to back you up. I'm just confused as to what you're saying here. You just said 10 feet, now 3 to 5 feet.
You brought out the firearm, and you could read this for the jury. You brought out the firearm when he was 10 feet away.
That's correct.
How far away was he when the gun first came out? This is a question, probably 10 feet.
I believe that to be accurate.
The police asked you, how did he react when the firearm came out? You said he actually continued to come at me, quickened his pace, appeared like he was going to attack me. So he's coming at you and quickening your pace from 10 feet away. You don't shoot the firearm until he's about 3 to 5 feet away from you. That was your claim, like he's right on you.
Again, what was said here, I don't remember because it was that evening, and I was doing the best I could with what I could remember.
You would once again agree that that's not what the video depicts, correct? He's much further away.
I don't know where I said 3 to 5 feet.
That's when you actually shot him the second time, but I'm just doing basic,
I'm sorry.
distance and time.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about the first time I shot
We
him.
are.
You
If you
just
pulled out the
referenced
gun
second time.
at 10 feet, and he continued to walk rapidly towards you before you fired. It's
confusing.
He must be about 5 feet away, right?
Can I just ask one favor real quick?
Yeah.
I would like to answer you as honestly as possible. If we could just kind of slow it down
Yeah, it's no problem.
and stick with one thing at a time.
Sure.
You were referencing the first time I shot him,
Let me-
and then you just jumped to the second time I shot him. So I want to make sure I'm giving you an accurate and honest answer.
My bad. You pulled out the firearm.
That is correct.
You pointed it at him.
I did.
He was about 10 feet away, according to your claim.
I believe so, yes.
After you pulled out the firearm from 10 feet away, he continued to advance on you rapidly.
That is what I stated here. However, after watching the video, that is not what I saw.
Okay. In fact, it's just not true what you said there.
What I saw in the video is not what I said here. That is correct. And I told you, I was trying to do the best I could with what I remembered.
Yeah,
I want to make
that's.
this clear. Your claim.
He's human, man. Come
After
on.
pulling the firearm out, that he advanced on you rapidly.
This is why you don't talk to the
aggressively,
police.
Isn't true, correct?
Not from what I saw in the video. That is correct.
It is what you claimed happened to the police.
That is correct.
And so your claim was he quickened his pace, and that's why you actually had to fire the firearm.
That is what I said in the statement.
And that's not true.
Not from what I saw in the video.
You nevertheless fired the firearm after Mr. Violet stopped and turned away from you.
Yes, I did.
Your claim that you shot him as he was coming at you was not true.
He was coming at me.
You shot him when he had stopped
So that
and
is
turned
true.
away from you.
Again, if we'd like to play the video and see the time elapse there, I mean, things are happening very quickly. We're not sitting in a courtroom in a perfect situation where things, we're talking about something that happened very quickly. So the time that it was there, I'm not 100%.
But you've seen the video repeatedly along with us, and you'd agree with me.
I'd love to watch it with a timestamp so we can see how long that really was.
The jury's going to have that.
Sure.
Our question for you, without that, is whether you can adhere to the truth.
Absolutely.
Okay. You agree with me that Kyle Violet had stopped and turned before you fired the gun.
That is correct.
Okay. And so your claim that he was coming at you was a lie.
He was coming at me. You're talking in a matter of 2 seconds, a second and a half maybe. I don't know. But what I saw unfolding in front of my eyes, and the exact second that he turned and the firearm fired, we're talking milliseconds, maybe a second.
He said
So I'm
Kyle
sorry
went.
that I misstated it in this.
And that he
in the
turned.
Statement to the police. Everything happened very quickly.
He
and
flexed
I was doing
on
my
him.
best to try and help explain the situation.
You'd agree with me that you shot Kyle in the side of the head, or the front part of his head and his jaw.
From the evidence that we saw, there was a shot that happened. When it happened, I have no clue.
You don't have any idea where you shot him.
I have no idea when I shot him, where.
You told the police that the next 5 shots went into the lower part of his body.
I believe they did.
And that actually happened to be, for the most part, true. You shot him in the buttocks, the genitals, the abdomen, correct?
I believe so.
Lit him up.
And let's then talk about your claims about why you shot him 5 more times. The detective asked you, was it your intention to kill him? And your answer was no, just to stop him. And this concerns the next 5 rounds.
And that is correct. I've never wanted to kill anybody.
And you explained to the detective that you just wanted to stop him because after shooting him once in the head, it didn't stop him. That was your claim.
Again, if it's in here, that is what I told the detective.
And that's a lie.
That was me not knowing. That was me trying to help somebody. Did I purposefully lie? No, I did not. Did I maybe give misinformation because I couldn't put it together correctly in my head? That would be more likely.
You described in detail the effect that first shot to his head had, that you said, I think it affected him as in he heard the shot, but it didn't stop him. You agree you said that? It's page
Again.
111, 6 through 8.
If it's in here, then I said it. However, is it what I remember? I don't remember what I said to them that evening.
Well, does this help your memory that that is what you in fact said?
It does not help my memory.
Would you agree that that was what you did say, based on what you see, is an absolute lie?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Well, you claimed that the first shot didn't seem to affect him. That was a lie.
That's what I remembered, or I tried to piece together. What we saw in the video, that is incorrect.
You said the first shot didn't seem to stop him. That was a lie.
What I remembered was incorrect.
You nevertheless, not remembering in this interview, continued to give detailed accounts of his reaction. It didn't hurt him.
But that's correct. Whatever's in here is what
You
I said.
claimed at the time that you did in fact have a memory of an observation. You said he flinched.
Again, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember him flinching.
The detective asked you, does he stay on his feet after that first shot? And you were able to give an answer. Not, I don't remember, not, I'm tired, not, I'm confused. You said, yeah, he stayed on his feet.
That is correct. That's what I said.
Your claim was, not that you didn't remember how he reacted, but that he flinched and that he was still heading towards you after you shot him in the head.
I don't believe, where does it say I said I shot him in the head?
You didn't say, let's keep it, that after the first shot, which shot him in the head, that he was still heading for you. Page 56, line 20. You know, let me be fair to you. I feel like I've misspoken. Garson at 13, does he stay on his feet? Your answer is, yeah. Well, when the first shot, his question goes off, and you said he turned, which way did he turn? So you mean he counterclockwise or clockwise, you asked, like which direction was he turning? So he turned, he was still heading for me. And then he started going back towards his house. That's after you shot him. He didn't continue towards you, did he?
What we saw in the video, he did not continue towards me. Again,
You were willing to describe to the officer that he was continuing to head towards you, and you actually gave the explanation. That's why I fired the rest of the shots. That's at page 134.
again, I don't remember what I said here. What I was trying to do was use the best of what I had for a memory of the situation and piece the things together.
Now let's just go to page 134, line 2. You actually give a detailed account. Carson's asked, I'm more concerned about what happened with these next 5 shots. And you answer at line 4, the first shot didn't seem to stop him or to hurt, to stop him. That's why I fired the rest of the shots.
And then it says I don't. Again, I don't remember. I didn't remember. I was trying to piece together what I thought was what happened.
Well, you went on actually to say, let's follow up on it, I don't. Where was his body positioned on those next 5 shots?
I don't think this is
there
working.
You said he was on the ground, but that's only after he presents you with the video, correct?
I said that I believe he's on the ground. I don't see anywhere something what we're being presented with a video.
But before he said anything about the video, you said he was still on his feet, correct?
Again, I didn't have a clear memory. That's why I offered the video to help clear things up. I thought we could go over the video so we could all work on it together and see exactly what transpired.
He doesn't want to do that, though.
You were specifically asked at 56 whether he stayed on his feet, and you said, yeah, he was still heading towards me. He took a couple of steps, and that's why you unloaded the gun. Your words, unloaded, at page 57.5.
He was worried.
That is what I said there.
And you didn't say anything about him crawling away on the ground, right?
Again, I did not have a perfect memory of the situation.
Well, not just not perfect. You said he was walking towards you, that he, after the first shot, took a couple steps towards you, and that's why you had to shoot him 5 more times.
Again, what I said here
Yeah.
is what I was trying to remember at the time.
And that, at this point, you said that 5 additional rounds, you were standing 3 to 5 feet away, correct?
I don't know, where does it say 3 to 5 feet?
57, line 14.
So yeah, I mean, when I was standing, when I fired the last 5 shots, I believe I was probably about 5 feet away.
Yeah, and the reason you were 5 feet away is because you originally shot him from a distance away. You put the gun down, so there's absolutely no risk to you or anybody else, and you took probably 4 or 5 steps to close that distance, so you were 3 or 5 feet away, and that's when you unloaded 5 rounds on him, correct?
Correct, when he was going towards my steps.
I'm sorry. Your claim to the jury is with crawling on the ground with a headshot, that he continued to be a threat because he was crawling towards your porch?
That's the direction he was going, that's correct.
My question was, are you claiming to the jury that Mr. Violet was a threat, a lethal threat to you and your family when he was on the ground crawling away from you?
He was crawling towards my house, yes.
Maybe I'm confusing this question. My question to you is, was he a lethal threat to you and your family when he was crawling on the ground with a headshot?
At the time, that was my belief. And I did not know he had a headshot. I told you I don't know where the rounds hit.
You'd agree that he did not remain standing, correct?
Correct.
Your claim that he was a lie?
Again, we're referencing this, which I told you I don't remember. I was doing my best at the time to help them piece things together.
Jason's doing a great job.
You did not tell the police that he was crawling away. You said he continued to advance towards you, and that's why you shot him 5 more times. And even then, your claim is he didn't go to the ground. Is that page 58?
Again, I said this. This is why you don't talk to the police. Just don't talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. Ask any attorney out there. They will tell you don't talk to the police. Do not talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. All right, I've said it enough, I think.
58, line 1.
Again, I was trying my best with what I remembered to help them. That's why I offered the video, because I didn't have a clear memory. I'm trying to help you understand that.
I'm trying to help the jury understand your claims at the time to the police to create a self-defense scenario. You claimed that you shot him once and he continued at you, and that's why you had to shoot him again.
Again, what it says here is what I said to the police.
And it was a lie.
It was not a purposeful lie. It may not have been what happened because I didn't have a clear memory.
You claim that after shooting him in the face, he came towards you. You shot him 5 times in the body and he remained standing, held his abdomen, and that's when he walked back towards his head.
I never claimed I shot him in the face.
That he's holding his abdomen.
I did claim that. However, I never claimed I shot him in the face.
And that whole image, that detailed image you provided of him coming at you after he'd been shot, taking 5 rounds and merely holding his abdomen and turning and walking away is also a complete and utter lie.
At the time, it's what I remembered, so that's what I told them.
Your claim here is that, the difference, the gap between him coming at you and him crawling away, bleeding on the street. Page 16, Exhibit 16, you'd agree that that is the blood trail that he left from you shooting him.
That's correct.
And this factual gap between him coming at you and him crawling away, it's just your memory that night because you were tired.
That is correct.
Your claim is that you were not trying to create perception from the police that this was a justified shooting by making that stuff up.
I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Talking about the claims you made that have no basis in reality and the reason why you were making those claims.
I was making those claims to try and help piece together the situation to help the police.
Isn't it easier that you were making those claims to piece together a so-called self-defense claim?
I didn't know what a self-defense claim was that evening.
Except that you explained to the officers that because he was coming at you, I needed to protect myself and my family. That was a lie, but it's self-defense, isn't it?
That is not a lie. That is exactly what I was thinking. I'm sorry, I'm not an attorney. I don't know what a self-defense claim consists of until I started this process.
You think you need to be an attorney to know whether somebody's crawling away, dying?
Well, now we're talking about something different. Now we're talking about somebody crawling away, dying. You just said a self-defense claim. I can only answer the questions you're giving.
Sure, but you use the actual terms of, I needed to shoot him, in order to protect myself and my family.
That is correct.
Okay, except that he wasn't really coming at you anymore, right?
He believes he was.
when you pulled out the gun before you shot him. He wasn't coming at
He
you.
was coming at me when I pulled out the gun.
He wasn't coming at you anymore after you shot him in the head, and he started crawling back.
Asked and answered. Oh my God.
Again, I don't know when I shot him in the head.
He wasn't coming at you when he was on the ground crawling away from you before you emptied 5 rounds into his body.
That is correct.
He wasn't walking away holding his abdomen after you shot him 5 times.
That is correct.
All of those claims were lies, correct?
All of those claims were what I believed happened that night. As we saw in the video, that is not what happened.
I may have a moment. Thank you, Your Honor. Those were my questions.
Wow, that's it.
Thank you very much. Can I actually just have a moment to shuffle? I just want to gather some of my materials.
Wow, I didn't think he was gonna be done with them that quick.
Thank you. Sorry.
Jason, let me ask you a few things that you definitely remember, okay?
Yes.
Would it be accurate and true that Kyle initiated the contact with you?
That is correct.
This is all that matters.
There's no doubt in my mind.
And when he initiated that contact with you, did he threaten you?
Yes, he did.
I'm going to ask you whether it's true that Violet stuck his face right into your face.
That is true.
Okay, now, you know, if you were fabricating a self-defense, let me ask you this. We got to see the video, right?
That is correct.
Do you remember even telling the police that he stuck his very flesh on your flesh that night?
That I don't remember.
Right. But if you were fabricating a really good self-defense, that'd be a cool thing to tell him, wouldn't it?
I guess I'm not sure what a self-defense really is completely, so.
But the fact of the matter is, in the video, it is extremely clear that he touched you with his face, right?
That is correct.
Police ever ask you whether or not he literally touched his body to your body?
I can't be 100% certain.
Did you take that as a threat when he did it?
I absolutely did.
And isn't it true, and do you have a clear recollection, that Violet appeared out of control and agitated?
Yes, that is true.
And is that what you told the police?
I believe so, yes.
Now, there's been some cross-examination. I think there's been a little confusion, and I want to straighten it out a little for you. There's a reference to the October or November incident. Remember, you were being cross-examined by the prosecutor in the beginning of his cross-examination, and he referred you to page 142 and 143. And I'll ask you to
Yeah. Hold on just a moment, please.
get those up for yourself. Let's give the jury the totality of what we're talking about instead of little snippets, okay?
Okay.
Now, you remember the October event clearly, don't you?
Yes.
You remember that without any question, right?
Yes.
And let's see what we got here. Detective Garson's asking you, I guess 6, 7, 8, what was happening back then?
Yes.
And then you give an answer, and it starts on line 10, right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell the jury what you told the detective with regard to your recollection of the October 2023 incident?
I'm sorry, I just want to be clear. Did you want me to read this? Or?
I do.
Okay. It says, I said, right. So, I mean, I was standing out pressure washing the front of my house. It was, I want to say it was fall, but it doesn't seem like it's been long since that happened. But again, time flies, right? Anyway, in the past few months, we'll say, there's only been one day I was out front pressure washing the house. And this guy came out of the driveway next door at 43 Summer Street, yelling and screaming at me, telling me I'm a rat, and I called the cops on him, and he was going to fucking kill me and my fucking family.
Okay, stop right there.
Dang.
It says that you called the cops on him, right?
That's what I said, yes.
And that he was going to fucking kill you and your family.
That is correct.
It was not a conditional threat there.
Nope.
I don't believe conditional. I'm not really 100%.
All right, it's a threat, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, why don't you go on?
I don't even know who he is. I'm assuming he probably lived there because he came from that driveway, but I've never seen him before.
Okay, so you're telling the detective that in that incident, you didn't even know where he was, who he was, right?
That is correct.
And you were assuming he was your next door neighbor, right?
That is correct.
But it goes on, right? And then Garson says, yeah, and then on line 25, you continue. What do you say?
I have no knowledge of him or anything.
And Garson says, you don't even know his name.
And I said no clue.
Right, now we're talking about October, right? Right?
October, November, yes.
And you didn't know his name then.
No, I did not.
You assumed he was your neighbor, right?
That is correct.
Okay, keep going. No clue. And what does Garson say?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you say,
I never had an interaction with him at all, ever in my life.
you're talking about the October incident.
Objection leading.
Correct.
Objection leading.
No,
What?
that's not leading. Stop
To
it.
be complete, I'm not actually sure.
Garson says, yeah, right?
Right.
And then you say, what do you say then?
And I said, I wouldn't be able to pick him if you said, here's 3 people, pick one of them as your neighbor. I honestly wouldn't be able to pick him. I had never seen him before.
All right. Now, by April 4th, you had seen him before, right?
Objection leading.
Had you
What?
seen him
Didn't he
prior
ask
to
the same
that?
questions?
Sorry, had you seen him prior to April 4th?
One other time,
And when was that?
October or November.
Now, there's definitions of lies, there's definitions of mistakes, there's definitions of inaccuracies. Did you intentionally intend to deceive the police department when you sat down voluntarily to give a statement?
No, it just
April
worked for
4th
20
to April 5th,
4 hours.
2024?
Absolutely not.
And again, what were you trying to do?
I wanted to help them figure out what went on.
And was one of those helping things the video?
Absolutely. My memory, like I said, I was tired. My memory wasn't completely clear. I figured with the video
Yeah.
and with me, we could get through and find out exactly what happened and clear, so we had a clear picture of what happened.
Now, you've gotten to see some of the videos, right?
Yes, I have.
Can you assure the jury that it was a quick situation that night?
Absolutely.
Were you making measurements or timing anything or anything like that?
No, I was not. It happened very quickly.
And
Yeah.
in your position that you were at,
It's reactive.
At the time, were you in a situation where you could make clear calculations?
No, I was not.
You know, the prosecutor asked you to speculate as to whether or not
You did ask him.
Violet made any actions or said anything toward your daughter, right?
But objection to characterization. I didn't ask him to speculate. I asked him to testify whether he saw it.
Okay, did you see whether or not he did anything toward your daughter?
I did not see him do anything towards my daughter.
But where was your daughter?
She was in the truck.
How far away was your daughter from Violet?
Great questions.
At which point,
At the time he came up and stuck his nose on your cheek.
I would say approximately 6 feet, maybe 8 feet, the distance of a vehicle from one side to the other.
And was she in the front seat?
She was in the front seat.
Was there a clear glass windshield in the front of the truck?
There was.
Can you see through it?
There was. Yes, you could. I mean, I believe I wasn't facing that direction, so I guess I believe you could, but I didn't look that way.
Were you concerned for her safety at that time?
Absolutely.
The video camera questioning that you had with the prosecutor, you got new video cameras after the October event, correct?
Correct. The digital video, closed circuit ones. I did have some Wi-Fi ones before that.
And why did you get the digital ones? This is to make sure we're clear on the question.
Because I was having issues with the connectivity with the Wi-Fi cameras. I've actually had to get a new router system that for some reason those 2 cameras don't always connect or they don't record events. So it just wasn't consistent.
And why did you want them to be consistent and accurate?
In case there was another incident, then if I had to go to the police or whatever, I would have proof of what happened instead of it was he said, she said.
Sounds like
And
what
that
a
was
normal
specific
person would do.
reaction, was it?
That was.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward to me. I don't know about y'all.
Were you trying your best to remember things at the police station?
I was.
Were you willing to go over anything they wanted to go over with you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we're gonna leave it there. We've got redirect coming up from the prosecutor. We'll get into some of that tomorrow. And I think we might be, I wonder if that's gonna be it. Actually, hold on a second. How much time we got? We got 5 minutes. Man, shoot, let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's do it.
Just, concerning this, your ability to claim who was making this threat 6 months earlier, I want to continue to follow up on 36. This is page 143. You confirmed that whoever made the threat, you'd never had any interactions with them before, and yet Kyle Violet had been living there for about a year and a half. Correct?
I don't know.
You said whoever that person was out there, I couldn't pick him out of a line. Correct?
Yes.
You said, and that's even assuming he is my neighbor. Whoever made the threat back in October, you didn't know who they were.
I was saying I didn't know if that person was my neighbor.
The attorney sister just asked, geez, if you were, trying to tee up a self-defense claim, wouldn't you have included that he actually had physical contact with your face? Remember him asking you that?
Again, this self-defense claim, I'm not sure. I don't understand that. I don't get what the basis would be or how I develop one. I don't understand how the law works like that. So when you keep referencing that, I want to make sure I'm giving an honest answer and complete. So
Sure.
Is there any other way you can work so maybe I can understand?
Yeah,
but
I
actually
guess
give you a good answer?
let's talk about your understanding of self-defense.
Sure.
You own a firearm.
Yes,
It's not a hunting weapon.
that is correct.
You described to this jury that the reason you take this firearm to work is because you were threatened with a machete.
That is correct.
That would be so if something like a machete wielder came at you again, you'd be able to defend yourself.
That is correct.
That's self-defense.
You said self-defense claim.
Yeah, the claim would be somebody came at me with a machete but never did. Okay, that's a claim. That's a false claim of self-defense. All right.
That did happen though.
Yeah, I don't contest that. A claim of self-defense would be something like, oh, Kyle Violet continued to come after me even after I pointed a weapon at him. That would be a false claim of self-defense because he actually stopped. It was no longer a threat. That would be the claim. Okay?
If that's what you want to say. Again,
Does that make sense to you?
so you're explaining that's what the claim.
I'm asking you, does that make sense to you?
I believe so.
Does it make sense to you that a claim of self-defense would include something like, I shot him, but didn't affect him at all. He may have flinched.
That was me not having a clear memory.
Okay. Would you understand this to be a false claim of self-defense, that I shot him and he continued to come at me when he really didn't? Does that make sense to you?
Again, that was me trying to remember and having a false memory while I was trying to construct what happened.
Would it make sense to you, a false claim of self-defense, that somebody was on the ground crawling away from you and you claim that they were actually coming at you? Do you understand that as a false claim of self-defense?
Again, I understand what I said in here. I was giving it the best representation I could at the time.
And just, to get down to a more narrower point,
Dang. Oh, why did they mute the sound? Can y'all not talk to the police, please? Especially in a situation like this.
Whether you had included in your claim, because if you were trying to confabulate a self-defense claim, you would have included that he touched your face, that he touched you physically, right?
Again,
Remember him asking you that?
Again, I don't remember if anybody asked me that.
Okay. Let me just make it simple then. You did tell the police, this is page 40, line 14, 15, because he was literally, his nose was touching my face.
I believe when Attorney Sissy asked me that, I was not sure.
Okay, and here it is. You did in fact make that claim.
Absolutely.
You did not omit that. That really did happen, correct?
That did happen.
You weren't too tired to omit it, you weren't too confused to omit it, correct?
Omit, I don't know.
Omit, not stated.
I'm
40,
not, can you?
14, 15.
Again, I'm not sure what you're asking me right at the moment.
Well, I'm asking you right now.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that being, you touched your face with his nose, correct?
Yeah, I did say that.
And let me just make this really clear. When Kyle was in that original wingspan in front of your truck,
Yes.
making these threats about snow,
Yes.
you didn't shoot him, right?
No, I did not.
It was only after you claimed he was coming after you, despite brandishing your gun, that you shot him.
So, that is correct.
It was only after that he continued to come after you, after the first shot, that you put 5 more rounds on him when he was standing and increasing his pace towards you.
Again, that's not what happened. We saw from the video.
But it's
What
what-
I said in here was what I remembered at the time, and I was trying to help with what I had from memory, which obviously was not correct.
Well, it was actually a lie, wasn't it?
If you'd like my definition of a lie, that's purposely not telling the truth. What I was trying to do was take whatever memories I had and piece them together with the detectives to try and figure out what happened.
And just finally, can you confirm that it was in fact Detective Garston that brought up any video associated with that night of it?
I was the first one to bring up cameras at the house, then he asked me if he could have access to them.
Okay. So early in the conversation,
Yeah,
you said
Jason's-
that you had a video
it's great
back in
testimony.
October, correct?
That is correct.
And then later in the conversation, and by the way, when you brought up that there was video, you didn't suggest to him, hey, take a look at this video to come to a better understanding about what happened, right?
I don't remember the exact sequence of events, but I'm sure we could read it in the testimony.
In fact, it's at page 66, line 18, that it was the detective who asked, are there any cameras cover this incident tonight, correct?
That's correct, and I said yes.
He brought it up, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Detective Garston brought it up, correct?
He did ask me that question, that's correct.
Thank you.
He asked you the question, you said he didn't have.
That is correct.
But he didn't have the answer.
Leaving, I think it's beyond the scope of.
Let's go, it is leaving. What did you tell him after that?
I said yes, he could have them, and I gave him the passwords for them.
Okay.
Attorney Barr reiterated something that's actually true. You accurately and distinctly, without any question, remember telling the police that
Yeah, back to form again, Your Honor.
that Kyle filed that touched you with his face. Who's the judge? Touched you with his face.
Yes, it did say that in there that I said that to the police.
Great, thank you very much. This witness can be excused. Should we, can you take a break this point, or will we take a brief recess? We'll take a brief recess, folks, and we'll be right back.
All right, there it is. The testimony of Jason Levesque. What do y'all think? We made it through. I think he held strong. Prosecutor wanted to point out these minor inconsistencies. We don't care if he turned around, if he was about to hop in a helicopter and take off into the sky. This man was in his yard, threatened him, which the prosecutor hasn't argued, nose to nose, face to face. If he turns around and walks off, you getting all the, nah, nope. But either way, that's my opinion. Y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. We made it, y'all. We did it. Thank y'all for sticking around. We've been up in here for 4 hours. Oh my goodness. Woo. I appreciate everybody. Thank you to all 700 nearly of y'all that liked the video so far. We will be back tomorrow. We've got more of this case to cover. And I believe Jason's going to be one of the final witnesses in this case. If not, we've got some other footage that we can cover. And y'all know we've got some more news to report on as well. Thank y'all for the love and support. If you want to hear some dope music from the independent artists in the community, make sure you tune into the show tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got another episode of the Song of the Night live for you tonight. It's going to be an interesting show because we got a versus challenge to kick off the show featuring 4 artists that are going to compete to claim that next spot in the season 11 tournament, and you'll get to decide who wins. All right. I hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon. Looking forward to seeing some of y'all tonight and definitely tomorrow. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace.